did this again. Hello, everyone. Michael Jordan fans are the best. And today we're going to be talking about the most outlandish takes we've heard from LeBron James fans. And before we get into that, I'd like to welcome somebody new to the panel, Steam Engine. Matthew, how are you doing today?
Not too bad, gentlemen. Not too bad. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, do you want to tell the people a little bit about yourself before we welcome the rest of the panel?
No, definitely. I do stand-up comedy here in Pittsburgh. I do improv comedy. Avid basketball fan. My marketing's not great. The sign behind me says "Who is Steam Engine" with question marks, but I don't have much of a budget for that. But I'm here to talk basketball. Can't stand LeBron. Can't stand the league how it is. Jordan #1. No debate.
Awesome. Welcome back, Hoop God. How you doing today?
Man, I'm great. I'm great. Another day for us to destroy these imperative narratives because it's never ending with the excuse-making society.
Robin, Sports and Fitness France, how are you today?
Yo, what's up, everybody out there, man? Shout out to my man Hayden Feeks in his chat. Shout out to everybody else in the chat. Shout out to everybody in the panel. You guys know the deal, man. Let's roll.
We've got AOH. How are you today, sir?
I'm better after Robin's introduction. Need my little wake up.
And we've got Nick, NMB Sports. How are you today, sir?
Doing good. Quick pivot. Need the Aggies to win today, and we bring home a baseball national championship. All right, back to basketball.
All right. So, we got a Steam Engine. What personally have you heard, not on TV or anything like that? What is the most outlandish thing you've heard narrative about LeBron James?
Personally, unfortunately, it's been on TV. Also, is the idea the Balco situation. I've seen people throw what they think is real fact at me, and it's like when there's smoke, there's fire, and I've never seen anybody argue in a way that's convinced me that there's no way that man hasn't been taking, steroids, ooze, nuke, whatever drug is, popular. It's time to get where he is. So I'd have to say that, with a distant second being that he doesn't own clutch.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What about you, Hoop God?
So let me just get. I can echo what the gentleman just stated about the Balco. My thing is this, right? And I'm just making a general statement. If someone levies an attack on your character, would it not be incumbent of you to clear your name? I would think somebody of his stature, a quote unquote billionaire, high profile athlete, if someone is tarnishing my name, no, I'm going to go through the legal system and embarrass you systematically to teach you a lesson. But seeing that he's not saying anything and being quiet, more quiet than a church mouse, like he said, where there's smoke, there's fire. Being silent is not helping you out in this case, because anybody says the slightest little thing about you on Twitter, you retweeting, keep that same energy, and you saying, there's a storm coming and all this, but so when somebody hints about the Balco, you're quiet. But I want to move on to something more serious. The aspect of the coaches being fired in the wake of his destruction, right? There's a pattern of behavior here. Okay, one coach can be fired. All right, cool. A second coach gets fired. All right, I don't think that's a coincidence. But after the third time, that's a confirmation. Now, this is what, his 9th coach, 10th coach? I mean, it's to me, it's just overwhelming. And the one that stands out to me the most outside of Darvin Ham, which I feel is a great coach, and he really got a raw deal, due to this petulant child that he's trying to coach, is David Blatt. I've never seen a coach be 30-11, 19 games over 500, and lose his job. Just coming off an NBA Finals, taking the Golden State Warriors 6 games without their other top tier stars, Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. Number 1 in the Eastern Conference, and gets fired. I've never seen that before a day in my life. So that's my main point. It's like, how can you be a guy who proclaims to want to be a voice for people, and you're going to take a stand against society, but yet you're getting coaches who have families fired that are no longer being able to support and provide for their families based off the actions of his quote unquote best player. I don't like it. So to sum it up, I don't like how coaches always have to get the blame for his shortcomings.
All right, Robin, what do you gotta say?
Yeah, once again, this is a topic that we can go down many avenues, man, when we talk about the narratives, man. That's why a lot of our channels exist. That's the main reason why my channel exists. But the narratives that affect Michael Jordan in his era, that's what I always talk about on my channel, the 80s and the 90s, how these narratives affect Michael Jordan with the tear down tactics, man. That's what we all can't stand. They tear down the past eras in favor of LeBron James in his era to make them look good. So, they'll say Michael Jordan didn't play anybody in the NBA Finals. That's the only reason why Michael Jordan is 6-0. These are the narratives that I never heard growing up that all of a sudden we hear now. These are the kinds of things that really bother me the most when we talk about the narratives that surround LeBron James. Yeah, we all know what the narratives that surround him as far as trying to make him the greatest player of all time. They'll tell you he's a pass-first player. We know that's a bunch of nonsense. They'll tell you he's one of the great defensive players out there. He could guard all 5 positions. That's a bunch of nonsense, too. We all know about these things. But the main problem that I have with LeBron James and the narratives always surface from the Michael Jordan comparisons and the reasons that, or the things that they have to do to tear down. Like I said, the 80s and the 90s, the other players that Michael Jordan played against, that's the only way they can excuse Michael Jordan's greatness. So when we make these channels and we're making these videos, that's the main thing that I'm always talking about, man. People trying to excuse Michael Jordan's greatness and say that there was nobody in the 90s. But then at the same time, what have they been doing lately? They've been pumping up Scottie Pippen into a whole nother realm. These are narratives surrounding Scottie Pippen. But all these narratives go right back to the LeBron James fan club, the media guys like Nick Wright, the Shannon Sharps, the Gilbert Arenas, all these guys that will continue to tear down the past eras. I mean, you think about someone who just passed away, Jerry West, rest in peace. Someone like a Jerry West had to come out and check someone like a J.J. Redick because he was talking nonsense about the past eras. These guys felt compelled. Bob Cousy, the man's 90-something years old. And he felt compelled to come out against a J.J. Redick and stand up for his era. Stand up for the Bill Russells and the Bob Pettits, the George Mikens. You know what I'm saying? All the guys he played against, the Will Chamberlains. Because he understood these guys were true competitors. And these guys were just talking reckless. So all these narratives go back to what we've all talked about. LeBron James and his fan club. These fake YouTube channels out here, these clowns out here, man. These LeBron James supporters, man. Once again, tearing down Michael Jordan with narratives and lies. All of a sudden now, Scottie Pippen is the greatest player of all time, man. But everyone else in the 90s wasn't that great, man. So those are the things that really get on my nerves when we talk about the narrative surrounding LeBron James.
What about you, AOH?
I'm gonna say that there's this umbrella category that a bunch of the things that LeBron people say fall under, and it's the woulda, coulda, shoulda. Things that can't be proven. It's an opinion or just an absurd statement that gets repeated, and there's no way to validate it. So why are we talking about it? And yet it'll be a basis. It'll be a basis for their actual argument. There's many examples, such as that Jordan couldn't have won without Pippen. Well, you don't know. You can't ever prove it. It's a nonsensical thing to talk about. You don't know it. It could be true. Could be true. I don't think so. But neither side can prove it either way because it never happened. So stop talking about that. But the one that I can't get out of my head because you have it in your graphic, it's hard for me not to think about the Mike Tyson thing. But it's another great example of you have absolutely nothing to base this on, and you just ran with it. And I actually want to spend a second on this and point out how dumb it is. So you do have some evidence. You got some evidence that LeBron could fight Mike Tyson. What is that evidence? What is his side going to present? That he's big, that he's athletic. He played a little bit of football in high school. I don't think that's a very good determination for being a good fighter, but his side will say, well, look, he played a contact sport. Okay, so we got 8 billion people on the planet. What did my description just narrow the number of people down to? big, athletic, and has played football before. That's millions of people still that you can now, based on the exact same thing, say could beat Mike Tyson. It's idiotic. It's idiotic, and it's disrespectful to the sport of boxing. How many 6'9" athletic dudes are out there that probably tried to go down a professional sports avenue or a fighting avenue and couldn't cut it? Now let's look at the opposite side of the evidence that he couldn't. He doesn't like contact. He complains about contact all the time. When he does get touched, even marginally touched, it looks like he has suffered a severe injury. He lays on the ground. He rolls on the ground. He blinks his eyes like he's suffered a concussion. And in the replay, you're not even sure if he got touched. And this is a guy who's going to take a punch. Now, here's where LeBron fans are going to get into a sticky situation. They'll say, oh, well, he's not really hurt. He's selling the call. Well, now you're admitting that he flops. Or you argue that those are legitimate injuries, or he's legitimately in pain, and now you're admitting that he's soft and that he can't take pain, that he can't take contact. That's not an argument toward being a fighter or someone who can stand up to Mike Tyson. Then, besides the flopping, you have all the actual injuries where he sits out games. So if he's suffering injuries like that all the time, what on earth makes you think he's tough? Or now again, the LeBron people are going to get into trouble. Well, he was just load managing. Okay, so now you're admitting that he's load managing and ducking games. Or you have to admit that he gets hurt easily. You see the absurdity of the things that these guys repeat based on absolutely nothing. And that's just one example. I've got plenty, but we'll circle back to me.
Yeah. Real fast, before we get to Nick, we got a super chat from Pierre Lynch for $5 to me. He says, "Hey Dart, how are you and everyone else on the panel?" I'm doing great. Thank you for the super chat, Pierre. Appreciate it very much. Nick, what is the craziest thing that you've heard?
Yeah, so a lot of stuff said there. We can kind of talk about as we go. For instance, I've done a video on the steroids thing before. And I obviously think he takes steroids, or did at one point, or has, or continues to in some form or fashion, right? But I don't think that's really that hot of a take. But I'll digress. I think a lot of players do stuff. But my experience with LeBron fans largely comes from debates, right? Like that's largely my interaction with them. So from that perspective, the one thing that drives me crazy is the accumulation argument. I just don't think in a comparison between someone like MJ or another great and what LeBron has done, right? He's only twice led the league in any category, right? His whole career, right? His peak, they always say he has a good peak and a good accumulation and all these things. I just think the accumulation argument, the way they go about arguing Jordan against Jordan, turns into all these other things, which we've kind of all brought up here or there. Like, for instance, I think the "we are done with the 90s" trend is largely a backdoor comparison for LeBron fans to kind of get at Jordan in a way. That's my opinion. I don't have any proof of that, but I think the genesis or the motivation for that argument is to backdoor get at Jordan and to somehow they can't get LeBron to go up to Jordan, so we have to somehow get Jordan to come down to LeBron, right? So that's, for me, that's my biggest pet peeve. But the other one outside of that is that he's a team player argument. That one drives me crazy. He is opportunistic. He will bail on a team, jump ship if there's something better to do or go to, or he sees something that gives him leverage, right? Everywhere he goes, if you don't do what he wants or you don't perform, you're gone. He's not a team player. Everyone has to walk on eggshells around him. Everyone knows that at any moment, if he has a bad day, he wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and the narrative turns on you from LeBron James's point of view, your days are numbered, right? It's only a matter of time unless you literally win a ring, and then maybe somehow you stick around, right? So the whole team player thing, that's the other thing that absolutely just drives me crazy. Just because he has a few more assists than Jordan is largely what they draw this narrative from, right? Is that he has more passes, he's a team player, etc., right? So I don't think that one holds any weight either. But that's the two big ones for me: the accumulation argument, and then that he's a team player kind of guy, right? I don't like that one either.
All right, real fast. We got a super chat from Janet Kennels. For me, it says, "Hey, Dart and gang. From my vantage point, a lot of Jordan fans seem like the inverse of Braun stans." So I could take that two ways. So I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. But if you mean that Michael Jordan fans are the best, then I agree with you. But if you're saying that we're just as bad as LeBron fans, then I don't know. That's your opinion, but I disagree. Anyway, thank you for the super chat.
Yeah, he's
What's that?
saying we're two wings of the same bird, I think is what he's saying.
I know. I think that's what they're saying too, but it is what it is. Anyway, thank you for the super chat, though. For me, I think the craziest thing that I've heard recently, that I've heard not just from like the mainstream media, but the LeBron James fan, is that people that over 1 billion people watch the in-season tournament championship to watch LeBron James win his fifth championship, win his fifth MVP, all the things that are just hyping up the in-season tournament. And the thing with it is that they go and they say, they'll go and they'll argue, even though it didn't have big American television numbers, they'll say, well, they were streaming in China. So let's think about this. In China and India and other big markets where they have over 1 billion people, it'll be those shows are going on the opposite side of the day. It's about 12 hours difference over on that side of the world. So when you go and you see people at China, is there 750 million people watching the NBA at 8 o'clock in the morning? Or maybe, not to get political with this, maybe those numbers from China aren't all legitimate. Just a thought. It's not like they haven't been heard or been accused of that with the TikTok numbers and all these sorts of things. And even with that, I've actually looked up some of those numbers on top of it. The 2023 finals, including all of the streaming numbers, was only half a billion, which is, I'm not saying that's not a lot, but to the point of it is that how is an in-season tournament going to double the NBA finals to in regards to those same types of numbers, to watch LeBron James get his in-season tournament hung up next to the Minneapolis Lakers championships as if it's on the same scale as an NBA championship. Yeah, I remember that, man. That really irked me that they did that. I felt, and because I am a George Mikan fan, because people just wildly disrespect him, I thought that was even more disrespectful. Go put on the Clippers side or something. You know what I mean? Like, go put it there. Just say that they got it or something like that. But yeah, no, that stuff kills me. Real fast, there's another super chat from Aja Morris. Looking forward to AOH and Sports and Fitness Rant's response to Nick Wrong's new narrative to attack Jordan's Defensive Player of the Year and inflated stats. I guess he did that for AOH because it wasn't for me. Do either you got to say anything about that? About any future videos you may be planning?
I saw that in a comment on my coaching video. And I'm not sure that's worth the time. I mean, that just is absurd. Like, I watched Jordan play defense.
So I was able to give a little insight on that. What they're saying is in the 1988 season, it was all home games. It was somewhere around 5 or 6 home games where allegedly they marked Michael Jordan steals. So, I mean, it's, from what I got, I've read several sources. I mean, I'm trying to understand. It's a 6-game sample size. So versus 82 games, it's a 6-game. I mean, is it really that serious? Like, I'm really trying to figure this out because I'm like, Nick Wright, are you that desperate? Okay, so if Michael Jordan has some inflated stats, how many other players got inflated stats? But I guess Michael Jordan is just that special. I don't know.
Can I just I want to piggyback real quick off the in-season tournament thing. What's Buddy's name from Indiana? The crazy jump shot. Halliburton. Did anyone notice that right around the in-season tournament, Tyrese Halliburton all of a sudden is being portrayed as this like world killer, MVP type, just as they're about to play the Lakers.
I do remember that a little bit, yeah.
And yeah, right. And before that, he was like, all right, this dude's cool. And then after that, Pacers are cool, but he's back to obscurity. the NBA clear as day were trying to hype up these average teams to make it seem more and more like the Lakers were doing something. And they basically did the exact same thing with the bubble, because everyone knows that Heat team was barely a team. They might as well have had me out there.
That's what the
media. Yeah, exactly. So I watched that the whole every team the Lakers played, all of a sudden their best player was generational talent.
Yeah. Real fast before we go, there's something that we used to do quite some time ago before when we were having 0 people watch us, which was trivia. And since we're talking about LeBron James, what year? And for the live chat, please put what you think your answer is in the live chat. What year did LeBron have his highest turnovers? And what were they as some golden whatever gold star? But yeah, before we go into the next round, Nick, what is the craziest thing you've heard in media? And if you want to take a guess at the thing as well. I guess real fast. Do all you want to guess real fast for the trivia, or do you want to just keep continuing the topic?
I was going to say 2012.
Okay, AOH, what's your guess?
I don't know.
Robin?
What, most turnovers per game in the season?
What
for
year?
LeBron, yeah.
Yeah, what year?
2000, maybe 18.
Okay. Oop God.
I'm gonna say 2006.
All right, Steam Engine. What do you guys say?
I'm gonna say 2023, 2024.
The answer is 2018. Robin got it right. All right, but to continue talking about this, Nick, what's the craziest thing you've heard in the media that they've said about LeBron James?
Hey, Dart, do you want to tell the viewers about that clock on the bottom? I don't think you told them about the new format.
Oh yeah, sure. So yeah, we're trying to keep some sort of timeliness on what we're talking about. So at the bottom we have a 3-minute timer, just to give people cues for when to continue the conversation, and then also when we're doing calling in, you have a minute to answer your to ask your question, and then we'll go around and mute you, and then you have 2 minutes to do a response. That way we can keep everything going in somewhat of a quicker speed. What's that?
What's the window that we're aiming for, keeping our bits to?
3 minutes. So 3 minutes per person at most. All right. So Nick, what's the craziest thing you heard from the media?
Does social media count like trends that pick up on Twitter or something like that? Like we are done with the 90s. I don't know if that started like in the media per se, but it definitely was a thing in the media.
Yeah, you can include that.
Yeah, I would say we are done with the 90s. I think that was just ridiculous. And to throw another layer onto that, right? The other thing that came around was that Jordan couldn't go left. This feels like what y'all guys just talked about with the Nick Wright and the trying to undermine the defensive player of the year and the steals or whatever it is. I've seen some things going around. I haven't quite watched them yet, but these just seem like obscure arguments that are coming up because the avenues at which they can go at Jordan for the comparison are diminishing, right? Or just aren't there. And they feel like these back doors that they're trying to take out a leg here and a leg there, and it's getting kind of obscure. And it's like, it just seems like a waste of time. Like, what are we even talking about here anymore, right? Like Jordan can't go left. And of course, when you look up the stats, it's quite obvious he was quite good going to his left, right? So the whole we are done with the 90s is probably the one that it just feels weak, right? It feels like if you were going to say the thing about the plumbers and all that back in the 60s and 70s and what have you, and you're trying to make that same argument now again for the 90s, just feels like that juice at a minimum has already been squeezed, right? It just comes weak. It just feels weak. It feels like it came out of nowhere. It feels like it's just nothing there really.
All right, AOH, I know you said you wanted to add some things on or talk about some more things. Or do you have anything about the media specifically?
Well, the media is a problem on a whole nother level because of how quickly something can be repeated that isn't true, which is like my first point. LeBron fans don't have any issue with whether it's true or not. They will happily repeat it, which kind of leads to what I'm about to say. It's another example of they don't bother to actually do their research before presenting an argument. And it's the people that say that no one got more help from the refs than Jordan, or that they changed the rules for Jordan. Now, I want to break this one down into two parts also. One, let's hypothetically agree that Jordan got a lot of help from the refs. How does that improve your argument in the GOAT debate? Because LeBron James gets away with murder every single night with the fouls he commits and doesn't get called, with getting phantom calls called for him, for getting away with technicals that don't get called. All of these things have aided LeBron in a way that I don't think you can compare to anyone else. Like, never seen anything like it. Which leads me to part two. Which of these LeBron fans went back and watched the old games and by their visual cues said, oh shit, look at Jordan getting bailed out all the time. Look at Jordan complaining all the time. Now, without me even saying whether it happened or not, did they even do that? Did they even go and find out if what they're saying has any validity, or did they just run with it? And this is a problem with a lot of the LeBron arguments. You know, them saying that they changed the rules for Jordan. I did a whole video on this. Which rule was changed? Please tell me a specific rule that you go back in the timeline and see that it changed in the NBA rulebook. What they're really talking about is that they finally stopped allowing people to murder Jordan continuously, though they weren't playing by the rules against him. So starting to finally enforce the rules is different than changing the rules. And to say that Jordan was going and complaining to the commissioner's office, Zeke claimed that. Isaiah Thomas claimed that. I don't know that it did or didn't happen, but do we have any definitive evidence that he did? We have definitive evidence that LeBron has repeatedly. And LeBron's doing it based on phantom things. You go back and watch Jordan, man, if he wasn't going to the commissioner's office, that's crazy. I sure as hell would have been. I mean, Jordan was getting beaten the hell up. So please, LeBron fans, at least validate your arguments before you just start repeating shit. It's really irresponsible, which again, we can start talking about society. It's just what's going on. Oh, I like that headline. I think I'll run with that.
Real fast, AOH, you got a super chat for $10 from Thanos Snaps Feminism. With regard to Jordan not being able to win without Pippen, Jordan proved that he led his team 8-0 against NBA All-Stars, practicing for the Olympics before even entering the league. Do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah. Hey, Thanos, haven't heard from you in a while. Thank you for the super chat. Yeah, I think I was being generous when I said that we didn't have evidence either way. We actually saw Jordan succeeding in his career prior to being teamed up with Pippen. We saw Pippen fail without Jordan. Yeah, I don't know. It's such a silly argument to be made. Again, these are people that didn't really watch, didn't really pay attention to the fact that in many cases, Jordan had to overcome having a weak-minded co-star, a guy who would miss out on games and not perform during big games, claim a migraine or a back injury, or be demanding a trade. That's not a good teammate. I don't need that shit in the back of my mind. And, you know, back then, the first information that Jordan would get is from the guys interviewing him. It wasn't the internet and tweeting and everything. So he's sitting there getting ready for practice and being told that Scotty just demanded a trade. And he had to handle that with grace on live television and not just call Scotty a weak ass scumbag, which is what would happen today with today's players. Jordan showed a lot of character, I think, in just going with the flow with what a lot of Scotty's flaws. And again, this doesn't mean that Scotty wasn't a great player, but Scotty brought a lot of baggage too.
Yeah. Robin, what's your take on all of this?
My take is the same. It hasn't changed from the beginning. Because what did I say? It's about the narrative surrounding Michael Jordan and tearing down Michael Jordan. This is what you guys are talking about. You guys are hitting it right in the head with the things you guys have been talking about. It all goes back to tearing down Michael Jordan, his era, to make LeBron James closer or appear like he's closer to Michael Jordan. So once again, this is why my channel is here. This is why I've been here. Because everyone must tear down Michael Jordan, all these narratives. The super chat that they talked about earlier about Michael Jordan, now they're trying to talk about his Defensive Player of the Year award and, he wasn't really that valid, and Nick Wright and the nonsense that he says. Once again, what are they doing? They're trying to rewrite their history. This is what they attempt to do with Michael Jordan, but they do it for no one else. And this goes back to what I'm always telling everybody. Michael Jordan's held to a higher standard than any other superstar in the NBA's history, any other great. And I'll give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about. A lot of times they'll talk about Michael Jordan. They'll bring up Scottie Pippen. You guys were just mentioning Scottie Pippen. And Michael Jordan didn't win without Scottie Pippen, blah, 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 blah. But why is Michael Jordan the only player in NBA's history that's not allowed to have any help? Why is it only Michael Jordan? He can't have any help. So Michael Jordan, let's say Scottie Pippen's a great player. Okay, he's a great player. He had a great teammate. Okay. Everyone else, they'll bring up Bill Russell. Bill Russell won 11 championships. So once again, you're not holding Bill Russell to the same standard as Michael Jordan, because they'll always bring up Scottie Pippen, how great he was from Michael Jordan. 6 championships, Scottie Pippen. But Bill Russell, meanwhile, played with guys like Bob Cousy, who is a pioneer at the point guard position. Bob Cousy, John Havlicek, one of the great small forwards on both sides of the ball in NBA's history. Sam Jones, who is known as Mr. Clutch before Jerry West was around. He played with guys like Bill Sharman and Tommy Heinsohn. And he won 11 championships with these guys. But for some reason, when they bring up Bill Russell 11 championships, they'll just say it was Bill Russell that won those championships. No one else was there. It was just Bill Russell beating everybody by his damn self. But when it's Michael Jordan, we bring up the 6-0. They immediately go to Scottie Pippen and how great he was in the 90s. But on the flip side, like I always tell you guys here, but they'll keep telling us that all the other players in the 90s weren't really that great. So all the other guys that I grew up watching, once again, this is why it pisses me off, because I grew up watching this stuff. You're going to tell me all those guys I grew up watching, they weren't that good, but Scottie Pippen was really great. Michael Jordan's the only player that can't have any help. Everyone else can have help. All the other great players in NBA's history, they can have help, but Michael Jordan can't have any help. Once again, being held to a higher standard than any player in NBA's history. All this goes back to the narratives and the lies from the LeBron James fan club. They're the ones started this stuff. They're the ones that started tearing down the past eras. Not just the 80s and the 90s, but the plumbers, the taxi cab drivers of the 50s and the 60s also, man.
Robin, I want to jump on that. I want to say thank you. I actually did a video about that a long time ago. It's like, okay, so let's give Scotty all the credit ever. All the credit you ever wanted to give Scotty. Okay. So Jordan had a good teammate. And this is tearing him down? He's not allowed.
Yeah, my thing also is how they bring up individual like outliers to compare against Jordan. I once brought up how Jordan was better at steals than LeBron, and they bring up Chris Paul to try and go against Jordan's steals, right? And no one in their right mind would ever compare Chris Paul and Jordan, right? But this is what I mean, where they get to pick the best of all of NBA history to try and bring down what Jordan did instead of just comparing LeBron and Jordan head to head, right? So that was another example just to back that up.
Got a AOH got a super chat from Monolondo saying, "I'd stay far away from LeBron if I want my career to survive in the NBA. Why doesn't anyone say anything when these guys are around LeBron in the locker room? What do you got to say about it?"
We actually ask that question a lot because I think it's weird. You know, people say that money, like these guys are now businesses, walking businesses more than they are athletes. So it's like, well, how can I ensure that I'm going to continue to make X amount of money over the length of my career? Will my career get shortened if I talk shit about the wrong person, if I don't agree with the LeBron narrative? And See, I try not to spend too much time on that because it turns into conspiracy theories that how are you going to prove it? I think the power of clutch sports is getting kind of clear to people. But all I can say is that somehow the money is worth keeping your mouth shut. And even then, I don't know how people have enough patience. You know, you gotta snap. You know, I don't know how these guys are on the floor watching LeBron do what LeBron does without just going up and laughing in his face. It blows my mind. It's a little bit of a mystery to me. Even if you know that your career is going to be hurt, the control that they have. Everybody makes a bad decision. Have you guys ever known that you're going to hurt your chances at work or your job and you said some shit anyway because you lost your temper? I mean, these NBA players are apparently able to have more control than that, which I find hard to believe. So I'm confused. I am really confused about the keeping their mouth shut thing. Maybe Anthony Davis isn't allowed to as a part of his clutch sports contract, but my God, that guy has been so abused by being associated with LeBron James.
Yeah. Oop God, what's your take on the media's worst takes on LeBron?
I'm gonna get to that in a quick second because I wanted to echo on a few points that AOH stated, Nick stated, and Robin stated. So what you were stating earlier, AOH, it's a theme that they do, and this is what I categorize it as. It's called having sizzle over substance. So they'll just throw this narrative out there that, oh, Michael Jordan can't go left. You know, I mean, these dudes ain't even got facial hair for crying out loud. I mean, they're talking and I can smell the Similac on their breath. But they'll just say, oh, Michael Jordan can't go left. And I'm like, bro, you can't even do a layup. Like, be quiet. Like, you probably can't even dribble the ball without fumbling. Like, what are you even talking about? But again, that's why I say it's the purpose is not to bring anything factual. It's just to throw it out there, right? Yeah. Just hoping somebody will jump on and take off and run with it. Robin, what you mentioned, let me because I was wanting to like jot it down so I wouldn't lose my place. But I love when they bring up Bill Russell. See, when I would say in my nation stages, like getting more in depth in the game of basketball. Well, I was like allowing the LeBron fans to manipulate me when they would say, oh, well, Bill Russell got to be the greatest, right? And then what would I do? Man, Bill Russell had all these all-stars, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I didn't feel right internally. Like my conscience was like, you're wrong. So I had to do my own due diligence. Start looking up Bill Russell, getting the actual facts on him. So now when they bring up Bill Russell, I'm like, yeah, I agree. Yeah, matter of fact, Bill Russell and Michael Jordan are better than LeBron. You know why? LeBron has more finals losses than both of them guys combined. Let that sink in. So I just use that approach when they go to Bill Russell. Next point. Nick, when you brought up them bringing up Chris Paul, right? Watch this. If we're talking about LeBron and Jordan, if you have to bring another player into the conversation, that tells me that the player that you're trying to defend has a weak foundation because you have to substitute somebody else to come in. Just like WWE, you have to tag in your partner because the one that you're going against is beating the living hell out of you. So when they do that, I'm like, wait. What does Chris Paul have to do with LeBron and Jordan? Well, you're bringing up the steals. Okay, so you're telling me Chris Paul is also better than LeBron in that category. How's that helping LeBron? You know, I love it. I generally do because I notice one thing I can say universally about Jordan fans. They never have to introduce another player. It's the LeBron fans that have to bring up Kareem. They have to bring up Bill Russell. They have to bring up all these other players that have nothing to do with the two players that the original debate pertains to. See, and I love that. But my last and final point, because I see the time. When I see the media or I even see the people on social media, they'll say this, right? When it's Bird, Magic, Tim Duncan, all the other guys. Well, LeBron has more accolades, so he has to be better. But watch this. When it's Kareem, Bill Russell, and Michael Jordan, we must give context. I'm like, okay, so now you're moving the goalposts. Once again, you're confirming LeBron James is not that great because you'll say one thing, but then you will change the criteria of what your topic originally was. So I'm sorry that I went over on that. I just had to get all that out. Appreciate it, Tom.
You're good, man. Steam Engine, what's your take on all this?
First off, two things. Thanos snap feminism. That's probably like the greatest name I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
Secondly,
Salute.
I only used a minute of my first time, so I want that back. I forgot. Thirdly, the Scottie Pippen thing. It's like the timing of it's crazy when you think about the media. Because look at his personal life now. He's in the media for all the wrong reasons on like every gossipy site you could possibly find, and that's got to be tearing him apart on the inside. And he's got these books coming out, so he's looking to be relevant any way he can. That's why he has braids now, I guess. So he's just trying to stay in the spotlight because his wife is out there doing whatever with Jordan's family.
She for the streets.
I didn't say that. The other black guy did. What was I gonna say? Oh, I had a really good point. Oh, you said something about something about Sizzle, and I was thinking to myself, even now the NBA and the media, they hype up the most basic stuff, right? Like you'll see a John Morant dunk attempt be in like an ESPN top 10. And he does that because he knows it's going to be on some highlight. They're more interested in the highlights. They're more interested in the attention. I remember seeing on ESPN's, it was like some crazy, it was an impressive rebound, don't get me wrong, but it was a LeBron rebound. And when it's like number 4 on the top 10, I could go as far back as the dunk contest in high school. Shannon Brown was the guy going up against him, and LeBron mysteriously wins this high school basketball contest where he does the same exact shit he does now. And meanwhile, Shannon Brown is doing 360s from the free throw line, and everyone's like looking at their phones. Well, it wasn't phones; it was Boost or whatever that was back then. And you could tell even back then that was going to be the case. So you just have to consider the timing. You have to consider how the NBA is lowering the bar of what they consider an achievement. I mean, when I was in school, if you won 4 times out of 10, or 4 times 10 losses, that's considered a failure. I mean, we're teaching kids that. So why would it be any different in this venue? But numbers aside, you can't have these conversations with a LeBron fan without bringing emotion into it, because we Jordan fans more often speak from fact, and that's objectively speaking, and it can be done respectfully as well. It doesn't have to be you're a pussy this and you're a hater that, and he's a great dad, and like, no, it's cool. You can have a regular conversation.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, I think that's all well said. I think everyone is going to agree with what I have to say. I think the most ridiculous thing that the media says is that LeBron James is the GOAT, or some of them. I think that's the most ridiculous take that they have. If you think about it, and some of these things were talked about how a lot of people will move the goalposts and they'll start comparing LeBron James to Michael Jordan, but when it's inconvenient, they'll start comparing Michael Jordan to somebody else. But when it's convenient, it'll still be LeBron James versus Michael Jordan. But just to lay out for me, I think the awards are, they're given to you. They're not earned. They're not taken. They're not won through victory. Michael Jordan has the second most titles of all time behind Wilt Chamberlain. He has, in regards to scoring titles, individual titles. He's either got the 3rd or 4th, depending on how you look at the leadership of the players. If you put John Havlicek in there, he's tied for 3rd. If not, he's tied for 2nd for most NBA championships as a leader. And it's just something that drives me crazy, is that they'll constantly be pushing this narrative. And kind of what AOH was saying before is that he's bigger, stronger, faster. And then they'll always go and they'll excuse, oh, he just doesn't have the help. And they forget that guys like Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, just to shout out self-researched NBA facts, I watched a video on this when LeBron said that they weren't a super team. Those 3 guys at the top 4 PER, I'm not a big advanced stats guy, but if that means anything, how is that not a super team? If they have the 4 most efficient players in the entire league joining together, they do a whole parade and they do a whole press conference talking about how they're going to go and win up to 8 championships. How is that not a super team? That's a joke. It was absolutely a super team. But besides the point, LeBron doesn't sniff the air of what Michael Jordan did, especially with the individual statistical titles. Michael Jordan has over 6 times the amount of statistical titles that LeBron James has, and he's got 2 more NBA championships. So you can go and you can look at all the accumulation of the longevity awards where he keeps getting these third all teams when he's not even making the playoffs. If you think that all team means a lot, that's fine, but you got to look back and say, well, maybe somebody else deserved that, or otherwise. In my opinion, I don't think awards are nice to see, and it's a good way to generally say this guy was pretty good or very good. But I think what matters more is for the people that earned it. They won it. They weren't given it, because that's what awards are. They're given. They're not taken. So,
like LeBron made the All NBA team, maybe the 3rd string the last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think he even deserved that. But when his side wants to make an argument later on, they're going to have this list of things on a paper. They're like, he made the All NBA team this many times. How can you argue against someone who made it that many times? It doesn't mean anything anymore.
LeBron still doesn't have as many first team All NBA selections as Jordan.
I got something that I think the panel might disagree with me on, but I'll save it. You guys wrap up the round, but remind me, I want to say something.
Okay. We'll just start off with you next round, but but we'll go and we'll talk about, we'll do another trivia question. What year was LeBron James' lowest free throw percentage, and what was it? We'll start with you, AOH, and then come back to you to start it off, since you got something on the tip of your tongue, and then we'll go to Nick.
Are you want me to answer the trivia question?
Yeah.
What was it? I'm sorry.
Lowest free throw percentage year for LeBron.
Sorry, I was pretending to read a book. I didn't know you were going to ask me about what was in it.
I like that.
What?
Lowest free throw percentage for LeBron for his career. What year was it? And if you know what the percentage was.
Jeez. He's averaged 70-something% for his career. So that could be a lot of different years. I don't know. Was it last year?
Live chat, put your answers in there as well. You go with
I'm
last
gonna
year?
go 2012, and I'll go 70%.
Speam Engine, what do you got to say?
I'm gonna go 65%, and I'm gonna go 20. 2020. Wait, shit. 2020. I don't know. Just go with what I said.
Oopgod, what do you think it is?
I'm gonna go 2018-19 because I remember Stephen A saying he had like the worst free throw percentage in the 4th quarter. Like he was like something 4 for 10. I don't remember what his percentage was. If I had to guess the percentage, I'm gonna say about 68. 2018-19, I'm gonna say 68%.
All right, Robin, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna say 2017, 67%.
Damn.
All right. It was the 2018-2019 with 66.5%.
Oh,
God dang, dude. That was pretty close.
Yeah.
What do I win? I was closest, so what am I getting?
You get a gold star.
All right, thank you.
We used to do the topic of the show. If it used to, I'll talk to you about it later. But and for the amount of turnovers that he had, I don't think I said that for the last one. It was 4.2 per game.
God damn.
Yeah.
How many steals a game that season? Sorry, how many steals a game that year?
Oh,
or assists?
Oh, that he got?
9.1
assists. It wasn't his highest. It was one of his highest. So I think it was the second highest assist.
Okay.
Wasn't playing no defense.
Real quick, I wanted to. You guys brought up the Scottie Pippen thing, and that FYF brought up that Scottie Pippen's a top 10 player. You see, to me, this is like this is like he says he has MJ as the GOAT, right? Which is fine.
It's a lie.
But yeah, but like to put Scottie as top 10 just feels disingenuous and feels like it's being done to again somehow bring down Jordan. Oh, if I can say Jordan had another top 10 player for his 2
Hey,
three-peats,
Nick,
you know what I
you're
mean? Like, it just
absolutely right. Yep.
my
It's a hidden
my
agenda.
my spidey
Yeah.
senses are just kind of
No,
going off.
Nick,
You know
you're
what I
right.
mean?
It's an ulterior motive. See, when you're thinking on that level, you can peep it out, like just the way they're trying to deliver that message. So no, trust me, I see it all the time.
Yeah, it
Ask
doesn't really add
FYF
up.
if he's gonna give Pippen LeBron's spot on the top 10.
I wanted to say something real quick because Rex mentioned this the other day. This is how you know the Scottie Pippen narrative is just complete fabricated. Nobody has ever confused Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen on the court. I don't care what no long cumulative totals say, because when you look at the per game production, it's not even close. So that right there shows you that they're desperate. And I love Scottie, but no, Scottie is not a top 10, top 20. I'd give him probably top 40, maybe. I mean, I would have to go back and look, but he's not in that top 25. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and without Jordan, his numbers were essentially the same. Like his averages went up, but like his percentages in some cases came down a lot probably from just shooting more and things like that, right?
Yeah,
like
Nick,
he is who we think he is. He is exactly who we think he is.
And Nick, let me add something else to that statement. Scottie never shot 50% from the field when he didn't play with Jordan. He had his best efficient seasons playing with Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
All right. We'll start off with AOH. Is there anything you want to add with some other outlandish takes you've heard from LeBron James fans?
Oh, there's so many. We could do like 10 shows on the weird crap that these guys have said. I mean, it's flat out weird, some of the crap that they say. Like,
we haven't even brought up the decision yet. Like, we haven't even talked about that, right? That's what got me to start hating him or not liking him.
Mm-hmm. Well, see, people say it.
Yeah, not liking him, because I don't use that word. That word from his
I don't
fans,
hate.
That's a female
serious,
Well, people say it started with the decision. I distinctly remember him on the Cavs quitting. I saw him quit before he went to Miami. How is that not when people started to dislike him? You watched a dude intentionally throw a tantrum on the professional basketball court in order to make a statement. That's gross, which kind of leads me to what I wanted to say. It's about how you compete more than the winning, to me. I don't care what accolades LeBron James accumulates. If you put him and Jordan side by side and make me choose on the pickup court who I'm taking on my team, it would never be LeBron James, even if his stats eclipsed Michael Jordan's, because of the competitive way that they play. And a lot what I'm trying to get to is talking about the 6-6 versus 4-6. I actually don't care if LeBron James had 10 titles, because the way that he has gotten his titles has been less inspiring than the way we've watched Michael get the titles he got. And I think even people on this panel have said that, yeah, you've got to determine greatness by the rings. Well, I have to agree with that, because obviously you have some sort of competitive drive, or you have some sort of mental fortitude. For example, three-peating. I can't imagine how exhausting or hard it is to not, when things are going tough, to not have that thought in your head that says, you know what, I've got the rings. We can let this one go. I mean, to have the drive to say, no, I'm not going to lose this one either, is pretty impressive. But people talk about, oh, Jordan lost to the Celtics in '86 and things like that. I don't give a shit. He looked better in that loss than LeBron when LeBron wins. And so let me ask you this. Would you guys, if Jordan wasn't 6-6, if he was 5-6, would you not have him as your GOAT? Because I think we chose him as the GOAT by how he helped his team look better and how he competed. Let's say that the Jazz came back down the court and hit some miracle or half court thing, and one of the championships didn't take place. Is that because Jordan has a flaw, because he has a blemish? Like, he has such an impossibly good record, the 6-6 thing, that now people think that perfection is the only way to be the best. Perfection is not the only way to be the best, I guess is what I finally was trying to spit out.
Robin, what do you got to say about what AOH said? And do you have anything to add about other crazy LeBron takes?
Well, he's right about the perfection and things of that nature, because they're excusing. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. You're excusing Michael Jordan's greatness. Everything comes back to that. It's almost like I said, they can't explain it. They can't compare LeBron James to my. I mean, you literally. I mean, just think about it. Really is no comparison for a Michael Jordan versus LeBron James dynamic. There just isn't there. So when you start to hear these things, this is why it's outlandish. This is why it makes no sense. This is why they have to tear down all the people that Michael Jordan went against. This is why they must lift up. I mean, the LeBron James fans, they spend more time talking about Scottie Pippen than they ever do about guys like Kyrie Irving. They don't want to talk about Kyrie Irving and his spectacular play in the 2016 NBA Finals. Why are the LeBron James fans so worried about Scottie Pippen all the time? Why are they always talking about Dennis Rodman? These are the weird things that we're talking about. They spend so much time talking about Michael Jordan's teammates, right? And pumping these guys up when they weren't even around to watch these guys. This is why they sound stupid, because when they're making all these statements about Scottie Pippen and they're saying all these things, it makes us all scratch our heads, because we watch these things. So we know the facts about Scottie Pippen. And oftentimes, what do these people say to you? They'll say, oh, you guys are disrespecting Scottie Pippen. Anyone that ever says that we're disrespecting Scottie Pippen by saying what we're saying, they weren't around. That's how I know you disqualify yourself. Because if you knew the facts, you know what we're doing. What we're doing is we're saying the record straight here. We're putting the perspective on the things and the context on what actually happened and the dynamic between Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, the Chicago Bulls, Phil Jackson. All of a sudden now, Michael Jordan's the only player that played for a great coach. Once again, this goes back to the standard of Michael Jordan. Only Michael Jordan played for a great coach. Think about that. Only Michael Jordan. They never bring up Chuck Daly. Do you ever hear Isaiah Thomas bring up Chuck Daly when he talks about how many times he beat Michael Jordan? Hey, man, all I know is I beat Michael Jordan. He never beat us. I beat Michael Jordan. He never brings up Chuck Daly, though. But Isaiah Thomas will talk about Phil Jackson when he's comparing LeBron James to Michael Jordan. The nerve of this man. Once again, you guys sound stupid. They're not respecting the history of the game. No one ever brings up Greg Popovich in these discussions when they're talking about Tim Duncan. I never hear Greg Popovich getting brought up. It's just about how great Tim Duncan was. Only for Michael Jordan do we talk about all the time Phil Jackson. No one's going to talk about Pat Riley when he was on the Lakers for some of those championships. No one's going to bring up Pat Riley and the continued success that he's proven to be. This guy's an absolute walking success. Pat Riley, man, on and off the court, but they don't bring up these guys' names. Only Michael Jordan do we bring up Phil Jackson. Let's take it a step even further. How many times do the LeBron James fans tell you the narrative that when he was in Cleveland his first time around, his organization didn't do anything for him? How can LeBron James win in Cleveland? They weren't doing anything. Dan Gilbert's the worst owner in sports history, and we can debate that all we want. The facts show that Michael Jordan, in fact, in 1986, was told to not come back and play. Let's tank the season. This was the mentality of the ownership. Reinsdorf, Jerry Krause. But Michael Jordan was like, nah, damn that. I'm coming back. That's a losing mentality. So do we ever hear excuses for Michael Jordan? No, what do? Oh, Jerry Krause is the greatest general manager in the history. Only for Michael Jordan. Everything with Michael Jordan is associated with the greatest of Scottie Pippen, Jerry Krause, Reinsdorf, Phil Jackson. Everything. The 90s was all cakewalk for Michael Jordan. It was all perfect time for Michael Jordan. He didn't break a sweat out there. This man didn't give it his all. And that's why I get pissed off, man, because this man was out there competing. There's a reason why he was 6-0, because he rose his level of play. Every time the Bulls needed it, Michael Jordan did that.
Real quick, I just want to, you don't even have to start the timer for me, but they, like you brought up the Jordan example, if he had lost one less or one more, and kind of how, LeBron getting to 10 finals and losing 6 of them, right? In my opinion, right, just me in a vacuum, like when I look at someone like Jerry West, for example, to me, I just say one-time champion Jerry West, right? That's how I would describe it. I don't really per se think of getting to the finals and losing as a negative or a positive. It's actually, in retrospect, it is somewhat of a good watermark, right? But it's when they bring up the finals losses as positives. That's when it's like I turn. I'm like, no, LeBron is a 4-time champion, right? I'm not going to say any more, any less. I'm not going to do this thing where, well, he got to 6 finals and we get to throw that in the pot to bolster his argument. No. He's a 4-time champion, right? We will leave it at that and we will move on to other things, correct? And so just to kind of answer that, right, what would Jordan be? Jordan would be a 5-time champion.
it wouldn't really change any of the arguments, really. Like, he wouldn't really move up or down, in my opinion, per se. So to kind of answer that question and the things that Robin was saying about the arguments they make, you know, if Jordan lost one more, no, I don't think it really wouldn't change much for me at all in the grand scheme of things. And I don't really look at finals losses as a negative or positive, but it's when these arguments, like, who's been to 6 finals, he's had 6 finals losses. Like, I don't care. Like, that's not in the equation. I don't understand how they think of that as like this great argument to try and put him over Jordan. Just doesn't fly with me.
Real fast, we got a couple super chats that came in. We got Micah Robinson for AOH for $4.99. It says, "How about the shade for Kobe and Steph? 3 people better than Braun during his own time." What do you have to say about that, AOH? Yeah.
Well, it's an example of what we've been talking about. When Jordan was playing and people were enjoying watching him play, we didn't have this narrative trying to rip down people from the past to make sure that the people watching right now didn't ever waver from thinking that they were watching the GOAT. Just tearing other people down to build someone up is bad. It's bad behavior. It's you shouldn't have to do it. You know, if what's happening right now is impressive and speaks for itself, you don't need to go down that path. You don't have to disrespect other people. You know, it's the douchebag at the nightclub that goes up and tries to whisper that you have gonorrhea to a girl so that he can go home with her instead of actually being the guy that she wants to go home with, you know?
That sounds like you may have experienced that.
Oh, man.
There's another super chat that came in from 24 Rapture. I'm pretty sure it went to AOH's channel, but it's a question for Steam Engine. Why doesn't LeBron respond to Chael Sonnen with legal action after he accused LeBron of PDs? If you're worth $1 billion, why would you allow someone to attack your career and life work?
That is a great question.
What do you got to say, Steam Engine?
Because it's all true. And he knows to keep his dumbass mouth shut. He's not intelligent enough to navigate the legal world. He's not intelligent enough to navigate a fucking book. So it's just like, keep your mouth shut. Because remember when what's the owner from the Rockets, and there was all that talk of China, and here comes LeBron opening up his mouth about China. Right. And foreign politics, and it took about 10 minutes for somebody to say, "Yo, they were right. Just shut up and dribble, you know. Just go."
Hey,
they won that one.
He didn't have a choice, man. He's a Nike asset, so he had to fall on the sword.
Yeah. It was clear as day. Like, all right, this is the stance I'm gonna take. I'm gonna stick with the factory kid pushers.
And you notice we never hear the Michael Jordan, Republicans buy sneakers too, because they know what we're going to respond with. Well, so does the Republicans in China that LeBron James had to fall on the sword.
Yeah, and he can't understand a damn word they're saying anyways, so they could be telling him anything.
Yeah, it's like, do I really care per se about the whole China thing? No, but where LeBron takes his stance and then how he acted about all that, right? He's all about one thing here, and then when it comes to China, it's like, oh, well, I have a different tune. That's like what we don't like, right? It's when people act like, I'm not some humanitarian for China, right? I'm not going to act like I am, right? But that's not my stance to begin with, right? I wasn't like, oh, free speech and free Hong Kong, and then it's like, what do you feel about that, LeBron? Oh, well, China, it's their thing, and it's like, okay, all right, well, then you didn't really believe those things you said for us here in America.
Hoop God, what do you got? Do you have another take that you want to mention or follow on with anything that anyone said?
Oh yeah, by far, yes. But AOH, I wanted to echo something that you stated as well about back then. No, they didn't tear those guys down like that, because that was by far and away a more masculine era, and I'm glad I came up in that era, because even when you had like Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas before he started doing a 180 in the media, like they were speaking highly of Michael Jordan. Now you had the critics out there, but I'm talking more so the peers of the players outside of Detroit Pistons, because they had their own agenda, but that was a more masculine era. Clearly we're in a super feminine wavelength, like the guy Thanos snaps. Like I really wish he could do that, because when you see it, it's like these guys, they force themselves to say that he's, the greatest player, or whatever they want to say. Like they'll say, "Oh, well, he's my GOAT," blah blah. But what does that even mean? Like, if you have to force yourself to say that, what you're telling me subconsciously, you don't even believe it. You know that you're bought and paid for, and you're compromised, so you have to stay on the company line. Which is just disingenuous. But another thing I wanted to address is what I hear from his plants in the media: bigger, stronger, faster. What does that even mean? I'm like, I'm seriously, I'm like, what does that even mean? I'm like, okay, so he's bigger, stronger, faster.
It's a $6 million man.
Right. And shout out to Sports and Fitness Rants. He spends millions on his body, pennies on his game, because he plays Dwayne Wade one-on-one and can never beat him. He plays Michael Beasley one-on-one, can never beat him. He plays Kyrie Irving one-on-one. But wait, you're bigger, you're stronger, you're faster. But wait, I'm going to take it a little further. Every time I see Kobe Bryant take this dude, whether it's an all-star game, a regular season game, or Team USA scrimmage, like Kobe Bryant is going at him. You can see body language doesn't lie. Kobe Bryant is hunting him out. Like, no, I want you. No, you're going to go against me. I see LeBron James doing the complete opposite. I see him running from Kobe Bryant. I see him trying to get screens on Kobe Bryant, because Kobe Bryant knows, as big as you are, as fast as you are, as strong as you are, you're mentally weak, and I own you. You can even look in the All-Star game when Kobe Bryant picked him up 94 feet. He tried to drive to the basket. Kobe Bryant, just demoralized him. I mean, he slapped the ball so far out of bounds. LeBron James goes off in the sideline just doing all bro, what? Like, what is wrong with you? You can hear Reggie Miller saying, Kobe's taking this personal. He was like, I think Kobe took the advice from Michael Jordan. He is not letting LeBron James breathe. I'm like, bro, you're supposed to be a competitor, yet your peer, another guy, is just literally owning you mentally. That's why I always ask these dudes, what do you mean if he's bigger, stronger, and faster if he's weak mentally? It's almost like the guy that tries to implant himself inside of Goku's body from Dragon Ball Z. You don't have the mentality to be able to conduct yourself the way this guy can. So I don't care how many syringes you take. I don't care how many empty stats you take. You're still not better than these players that you're allegedly bigger, stronger, and faster, yet these guys have far more skills than you. That's my take on that.
Hey, Hoop guys, you ever see RoboCop 2?
Yeah.
When they're testing out all the new RoboCops and they're all like screw-ups, the one's taking his helmet off and it's nothing but a skull, and the other one shoots itself. That's basically what you're talking about with these bigger, stronger athletes. Yeah, they look great, but the second you get them to do anything, they start literally shooting themselves. Look at John Moran. See, look at that segment.
Perfect analogy.
What else you got to say, Speed Engine, about this stuff?
Oh, I took notes. I found that to be an effective way to go about doing this. The plumbers thing. LeBron's toughest competition in the East. Someone mentioned DeRozan. Who was the chubby point guard from Philly? Kyle Lowry. And all these guys literally saying, like, we wish we had LeBron on our team, and actively giving up on the court. And you want to compare this to the 90s? You mean to tell me that Penny's not going by anybody? Grant Hill's not going by everybody. All these, forget the 90s. How many of these kids still watch Allen Iverson, product of the 90s? So this forget the 90s bullshit is tired, and it's intentional for one player. Forget the 90s, get the fuck out of here with that. And just like LeBron fans, I'm gonna step outside of basketball for a second in the media. There ain't one fucking channel that can tell me Space Jam was good. That movie was awful. I saw it twice just to make sure. And nobody talks about the fact that ain't that man's hair. Nobody calls it out. It's a thing. It's a legitimate thing that can be made fun of, and you don't even see the other players making fun of it.
Everyone rags on Kevin Durant, right? Everyone rags on Kevin. Yeah.
Oh, exactly. That big patch thing. Exactly. And I'm gonna leave you with, like, Magic Johnson quit the Lakers as a result of this man. Like, a Lakers all-timer quit a position as a result of this man. Kevin Love had a mental breakdown and had to go to an institution as a result of playing with this man. Delonte West, homeless, seen on the streets on crack as a result of playing with this man. And there are countless other victims that aren't even spoken of.
Hey, don't forget Kyrie.
And Kyrie, I'm pretty sure LeBron told him that the earth was flat. And Kyrie said, all right, I'll just run with it. Fuck it.
I'll run with it.
So I don't get fired. And there's more of a negative than a positive when you look at it in a vacuum. And that's whether you look at stats or just the eye test. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's weird to me. In the new Space Jam was just a giant advertisement for Nike, to the point where they CGI'd a pair. I looked this up. They CGI'd his new sneaks onto his old sneaks because they were releasing 2 weeks later for marketing purposes. So I mean, if that's not corny, I don't know what is.
Real fast, there was another super chat that came in for AOH from Carlos X. He said, I watched game highlights where Pippen was allowed to get away more shots. Larry Johnson, who was trash talking Pippen. It's basically the blueprint for how to prop up LeBron his whole career. What do you got to say about that, AOH?
What's up, Carlos X? Thank you for the super chat. I'm slightly confused by the statement. Can you clarify it for me, Dart? Anyone?
I don't. It's more of a statement. So, I mean,
Pippen got off more shots or was able to get off more shots because of
against Larry Johnson, who was trash talking Pippen. I think this is one of those thank yous and let's move on.
I was gonna say real quick, just about the LeBron hairline. The funny meme is like how his headband kept getting bigger and bigger to cover his hairline. I always found that meme to be absolutely hilarious.
Hey, Nick, you know that's a side effect of using performance-enhancing drugs.
It sure is. And
yeah, I've done a whole video on. I don't know if you guys know the More Plates, More Dates guy. He's pretty popular on YouTube. He did a whole thing about LeBron James's PED use, and I did a video reacting to that. I think it's probably right.
Nick, what's your take on all this sort of stuff, or what everyone said?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've kind of been popping in and giving my when people say stuff. I don't have too much to add. We kind of mentioned how we haven't even brought up the we talked about it briefly, the decision thing. But everyone else has kind of mentioned stuff. I don't have too much more to add. We've kind of mentioned his off the court stuff, kind of irks me a little bit too. Like I've kind of mentioned, I feel like his whole appearance just feels astroturfed. Everything is a walking photo shoot where like he has to look, perfect or just there's no mistakes, no blemishes, right? It's not real. Everything about him feels CGI off the court sometimes. And that's one of the things I've always irked me about him, right? Like, I would never have a beer with LeBron James, right? I would love to have a beer with Michael Jordan, right?
What about some wine?
Some wine, whatever, right? If we're partying, that's fine. But you know what I mean? Like, I just don't. I never got.
I meant with LeBron,
feeling.
not Jordan.
Yeah. A nice Chianti or something. But yeah, like I've always felt like that. I think LeBron's a stick in the mud. Probably like I think he's very narcissistic and whatnot off the court, right? I don't hate the man. He seems like he takes care of his business per se for his thing that he's doing, right? Like it's not like he's out committing murders or anything like that, right? I'm not trying to say that, but I just would never want to have a beer with the guy, and I'd love to have one with Jordan, which is.
So you're not counting his sweatshops then, if you don't think he's.
Yeah, I'll put that to the side for now. We won't talk about his sweatshops.
Real quick, speaking about shops. Is it not clearly intentional that his stupid ass talk show that he writes and directs is based in a barber shop to give this illusion that he gets his hair cut like a normal human being?
Dude, I have a still frame from one of those where he's got the thing on and there's a piece of hair on it. And I'm like, God damn, did they during makeup have a prop guy come out and put a fake piece of hair on his shoulder to make it look like they cut something off of his fucking head? The narcissism, the insecurity. We shouldn't even be calling these people men.
Everything is a green screen with him. I fucking hate that feeling, dude. It's so annoying. It's really just such a turnoff. Like,
Just don't
No.
even want to watch it or deal with it or care.
Hey, I know.
How do you like somebody that tries to take Taco Tuesday for themselves?
That-
Yo, good point. That's a good point.
Like,
I
come on,
noticed.
who the fuck you think you are?
I
Take
noticed.
some of the things-
You know, Chelsea Clinton?
Take some of the things that LeBron has done. Try to imagine Jordan doing it, and then you realize how absurd it is. Like the when he had the Morris brother crown him at the Lakers, if someone walked up to Jordan and tried to do that, I'd be like, "Get the fuck! What the fuck do you think you're doing? Get away from me!"
Hey, that's how you're raised, though. See, that's when you're raised with a father versus coming up with, you know,
Yeah,
a single brother
the
that
award
didn't,
show.
you know,
The
discipline
award
him.
show. If Mike's wife had introduced him as the GOAT, he would have pulled her over and be like, don't ever
Don't
ever do that shit again. Don't ever. And of course, she never would have. She would have never done anything like that in the first place. I think we need to mention LeBron's fake intelligence, because you hear even his haters like Skip Bayless always talk about him being the smartest player or one of the smartest players. And all I want is for them to ever provide an example in the same sentence, a specific example. They throw it out there and they say it so often that eventually the people listening say, yeah, it has to be true. Can you give me one example? Can you give me one example? I mean,
I had this one written down too. That he's smart. Yeah,
that right there made me the GOAT. And,
maybe
and all the books that he reads, that's what makes him smart.
And let me try to be fair even here. If you provide, I don't know for a fact that LeBron James is not smart. Yes, I do. But I can provide you evidence or things that make it look like he's not. Can you at least provide counter evidence that supports your claim that he is smart?
I can. When he sat his ass down when Mario Chalmers almost beat his ass. Smartest decision he ever made.
That was classic.
Smartest decision he ever made.
That was a classic.
Or not letting Isaiah Stewart catch up to him. Two smart decisions he made.
Hey, Speed, you notice when LeBron jumped up, Chalmers did not flinch. Like he did.
He ain't moved.
He did the same thing Kobe did against Matt Barnes. Like he did not even flinch. Like, bro, I'm not
flinch.
Okay.
Matt Barnes. Man, like, ain't nobody. His hair's too nice to be. You know, you can't be scared of somebody like that.
Another thing we forgot was, remember how he tried to get that Nike hoop camp video removed?
I still got mine to go.
Okay,
and we got a super chat. So here we go.
Let me show.
All right. So we got a $10 super chat for AOH. NBA and Star Wars are the same owner. Both have LGBTQ in leadership. Both prop up fake heroes who did not go through a hero's journey. Both pee on the fans in the past. What do you have to say about that, AOH?
When you say Star Wars, are you talking about Disney taking over Star Wars?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. That stuff's disturbing. I can't really. You guys know that I'm into wildlife. I'll tell you that Disney's so bad that they carried that shit over into a nature documentary. They were man-hating in a nature documentary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The man-hate existed in a nature documentary.
No.
Man. They do not want no patriarchy whatsoever.
Let me tell you something.
But we're going to give it to him. I'm just kidding.
It's a good thing my dad wasn't a soft ass, because I, like probably a lot of teenagers, will take advantage where the advantage is to be taken of. And I could have manipulated my mom through emotional bullshit and teenage speeches and shit like that. You need the other person there to say, what a bunch of bullshit. Shut up and get it done. You need people to say, shut the fuck up. That's bullshit.
Yep.
And LeBron doesn't have that. Never did have it. He was anointed when he was like fucking 14. And he's striding into press conferences looking like he already knows and thinks he's all that, loving it, got his posse behind him. And people want to say, oh, look at the pressure he had to deal with. Man, that dude was on board from day one. And no one ever told him, hey, maybe tone back this and you'll get more respect. He needed it. He needed it badly.
We got another super chat that came in from Jana Kennels for me for $5. Thank you very much. Should we really applaud Braun for not being a criminal? Is it really impressive that he doesn't have marital domestic issues? That's the standard. Yeah, to the point of that is I do think that sports in general has gotten a bad reputation for the stars being playboys or doing what they want. I think that's been a long-standing thing, at least throughout, post 1960s. That's been kind of a popular thing with sports stars is that they're bad boys and do what they want. But to your question, no, I don't think he should be applauded for that. At the same time, I don't, who knows if he actually has not done these things, but in respect to has he been caught, he has not. So, or at least, you could say the Balco stuff. There's been rumors that he's been with other women, but none of them have been confirmed. So it is what it is. So in short, no, I don't think he should be applauded for doing the right thing because that's your job, right? Or in general, that's what people should be doing. So some of the things that I wanted to bring up real fast is that talking about the GOAT stuff, I don't think the championships are part of it. So if he won one less and he did the back-to-back, I think it would have hurt his case for the GOAT. But I don't think that in itself made him the GOAT. I think the icon, the influence that he had over the game, being able to propel it to a worldwide standard, all of his individual dominance that he had with the statistical titles. And the one thing that I bring up all the time that a lot of people like to pretend was nothing is the coming back from the retirement and still being on top of the league. And I brought this up multiple times before to a lot of people is how easy is it for you to stop doing something cold, more or less, in respect to playing against the highest competition in the world and then be able to come back a year and a half later and still be the best? It doesn't happen in sports. It doesn't happen in a normal job. You have to be elite. You have to be better than everyone else by far to even do that because all the rust that you get, all the stuff that you lose, all the practice that you haven't done. I think if I had to say one thing, it is a culmination of things, but I would say that it has to be the retirement and the comeback. That's what made him the GOAT for me, for if I had to say one thing. Now, another thing I wanted to bring up is the football thing, is that LeBron James could play in the NFL as a tight end right now. That's just the biggest joke in the world. It doesn't matter if he was really good at football in high school. Let's use a comparison here. Let's look at Michael Jordan when he went to go play baseball. Could LeBron may have played some minor professional football league and done okay at it or relatively okay at it? Maybe. But to say that he'd be a star NFL tight end is a joke. It wouldn't happen. I don't care how big, how strong, how fast he is. It's just not really feasible, especially from taking at this point 17 years off of it, or even when it started happening. Or those conversations happening, let's say 10 years ago, he still couldn't do it 10 years ago. He still would have had all of this rust. And he wasn't practicing with pro level or national level talent. So absolutely not.
Dart, how about the disrespect to football players or boxers? It's really the same thing as the Mike Tyson thing. And it's also under the umbrella of the woulda, shoulda, coulda fantasy world of what LeBron is great because this might have happened instead of talking about what did happen. But let's say that LeBron was capable of playing in the NFL. You still don't say things like that out of respect to guys who actually are in the NFL. You go and you prove yourself and earn the right to make a claim like that. Basing entire legacies on things that didn't happen is really psychotic.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think people go along with it. You wanted to say something, Robin?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say something, along, or jump on what you guys were saying. But the with Michael Jordan and oh my God, I just forgot what I was gonna say. Damn, man.
Can I go real quick?
Can
I go real quick?
Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, man.
I'm gonna push back a little bit on the tight end thing. Not a star,
But had he
Now I
played
got it.
football his whole life, the only reason I say this because you
You're
look at
saying the
guys
what
like
if?
Jimmy Graham, and there's been other like all-time great tight ends with basketball backgrounds. If let's say he adapts to the physicality, right? Which I think is obviously the big thing we're all saying he wouldn't. The first time he gets hit, he's not going to want to play anymore, right? I think that's what would happen. So I'm not saying he would, but I'm saying the metrics of what a tight end is, I can plausibly in another universe, I could see LeBron James possibly playing tight end, right? I'll give a little pushback on this episode, make it interesting. But
But
given
what's
the
the value?
background of given the
Hold on.
background of basketball players playing tight end in the NFL, in another universe, I could maybe see it.
And again, you narrowed that down to millions of people who fit the metrics of possibly being a tight end.
Right.
Better take it easy, Austin Rivers.
If I had wings, I could fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably an unpopular opinion, but again, in an
Yeah.
alternate universe, I could see it.
You guys, if
Well,
I was more athletic, I'd be better.
Did he play high school football? I forget. He did, right?
Yeah, no, he was a
did.
really good high school football
I
player.
mean,
Okay,
if I was
Yeah,
6'4",
but I
I
wanted to
guarantee
say
I
on
would-
that. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Who got it?
Oh no, I was just saying if I was 6'4", I guarantee I would have made it to the league.
See, my whole problem with the wide receiver narrative is that the evidence. We talk about the evidence. Where's the evidence of this stuff? So if we think about LeBron James playing basketball, let's think about LeBron James at his most athletic peak in the NBA in Miami. LeBron James. We think about LeBron James over the last several seasons. LeBron James has shown us what? That he's a flopper. How many times have you seen a replay of LeBron James go flying into the stands? Nobody touched him. So when we think about those aspects, those are actual things that we have footage of, that we've seen. LeBron James is proven to be kind of soft. Let's don't make no mistakes about this.
I
LeBron
agree.
James is soft. So if that's the kind of evidence that we have, then I can't really say that I can see LeBron James playing in the NFL, because even though they've changed the rules, so to speak, from the NFL that I grew up watching, I still don't believe LeBron James is going to be able to take a hit and play all 17 games in an
agree.
NFL season. I just don't see it happening. LeBron James would be one of those guys where he's playing 5, 6, 7, 8 games a season, man. He's playing all the home games. That would be LeBron James, man. You know what I'm saying? And an example of what I was saying with like the Michael Jordan stuff, when I talk about evidence, you know, oftentimes when you debate LeBron James fans or you have these back and forths, you'll say something about Michael Jordan raising his level of play. I mention all the time on my channel, Michael Jordan raising his level of play. And what do I always say? The evidence is there. He's 6-0 in the NBA Finals for a reason. The Bulls were not beating teams 4 games to nothing, blowing them out by 20, 30 points. There were often many scenarios during those championship runs where Michael Jordan made a key play. He made the shot, whatever the case may be. He had his team ready. They were galvanized through the leadership of Michael Jordan. So we have the proof, the evidence to say, yes, I believe Michael Jordan would beat this team or would beat that team or would raise his level of play because the evidence is there.
All right, we got a super chat that came in also from the lowly one for me. He says, for $5 US, thank you very much, sir. Malcolm X is a very smart man. His words and his sentences, said by Balco Man. Yeah, Malcolm X, he said things on the pages written in that book, and great man. Yeah, that was a terrible answer to the question that he was. I don't know. I'm sure all of y'all have seen it about that. He clearly didn't read it.
Do you know which reporter asked him that question, ironically?
I don't know. Was it Windhorse or something?
Malika Andrews,
Oh, wow.
I believe.
Yeah,
Classic.
that's hilarious. Do you guys have anything else you want to talk about before we start taking callers? And otherwise, I'm going to give a trivia question also. But.
Yeah, I wanted to chime in on AOH, what you stated earlier about his lack of accountability and being given everything. See, life has a very funny way of humbling you. And what I mean by that is, in that 2009 Eastern Conference Finals matchup against Orlando, going into that finals, the Cavs were the heavily favored. Jameer Nelson, their best player, in my opinion, didn't even play. So you already have the deck stacked in your favor, which that's exactly how he likes it. And he subsequently starts to smack talk in game 1. And again, he got humbled. He got humbled so bad that he didn't even congratulate the guys when they won. I found a report on ESPN and they were questioning LeBron's lack of accountability and just even though an opponent beat you, you still as a man should show some respect and like, hey, congratulations. But no, he hightailed it out of the Orlando Magic Arena. But I want to go further. When he decided to take his talents to South Beach, I think Steam Engine brought that up, and they literally threw a parade. Okay, so you're putting the cart before the horse, having a parade, and not one, not two, not three, and then the Dallas Mavericks shout out to Dirt. They humbled you, right? So now you have to go train with Hakeem Olajuwon and try to get your post game, and because you should have learned these things in college or with a coach who would have instilled this into you. But it's just mind blowing that in your 26th year, and this is like your 8th season in the league, you still have to develop your game, things that you should have learned from high school. Okay, all right, you win 2 championships, but then they go against the Spurs in 2014, and Tim Duncan says, "Oh yeah, we're going to do it this year." Hey, LeBron, did you hear Tim? Like, yeah, I heard it. Well, what happened? I mean, you got blown out by a record margin. Again, as I said earlier, life has a funny way of humbling you. Then he gets, LeBron, I think you said it, Spin Engine. Yeah, LeBron is he's opportunistic if you pay attention to how he moves. So he looks at it like, okay, I can't beat the Spurs with, these bums in Miami. So I'm going to go get Kyrie Irving. I'm going to get him to offset Tony Parker. I'm going to go get Kevin Love to draw out Tim Duncan and Boris Diaw. Hey, can't nobody match me one-on-one, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Well, guess what? The Spurs didn't make it to the finals. It was the Golden State Warriors. They threw a wrench into his plans. So again, life humbles you. Okay, you come back from down 3-1, 2016. All right, cool. Golden State gets Kevin Durant, gets humbled again. So I look at it like, no matter what this guy does, life still has a funny way of humbling him when he tries to be the puppet master and he tries to manipulate people and he tries to, just do all this nonsense, because it's like, bro, just follow the same blueprint that the guys that came before you, they laid the foundation, just follow it. No, he wants to try to create his own path, which is fine. But when it blows up in your face, I have to tell his fans that's par for the course. You can't get upset when you create this situation and then ultimately it blows up in your face. No. I don't want to hear any sympathy. I don't want to hear any hating because, again, he chose to do this. So I don't understand why you guys are so upset, his fans. And then sports and fitness fans, what you said about him being soft. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we got a super chat from Michael Silberg for $5 to AOH. It says, "Grown men not be shamed for flopping and crying to get his way. How many boys watching this become feminized? Single moms are not turning the TV off." What do you got to say about that, AOH?
I mean, it's one of the most upsetting parts of it for me.
Mm-hmm.
He's a disgusting adult.
Mm-hmm.
Forget the athlete part. He's a disgusting adult. I was just wondering while Hoops God was saying his bit, the brain of LeBron James, because ego is a funny thing. I mean, ego can really make you believe things that aren't true. And I wonder how much of his own bullshit he believes because he's surrounded by enough yes men and people telling him he's the best. But at the same time, he displays insecure behavior, which tells you that somewhere inside he knows it's not true. So he must have some sort of a internal struggle between his ego and delusion and that aching truth inside.
Yep. Real fast. Before
Thank you for the super chat.
Real fast before I drop the link, or I'll drop the link right now, actually. But I want the live chat to answer, and the panel as well. And we'll start with Steam Engine this time. What year was the lowest amount of games played for LeBron James? And for a Gold Star, how many games was it?
65, I think. Sorry, blurted it out.
No, so I'm going to guess his first year in LA, whatever year that was, 2020, whatever year that was. I'm bad at that. And I'm going to guess 53.
Damn, I think that's right.
Hey, do shortened seasons count? Or we admit it?
Oh, that's a great question. Dang.
We'll keep them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if you want to
while you guys figure that out.
Yep. If you want to call in, please come to my channel. And if you liked what I had to say, please subscribe to my channel on the way in. But the easiest way is to hit the link in my chat from the YouTube. Hoop God, what do you got? What do you think is the answer?
I'm gonna say the 20. What season was that when he jumped on Twitter talking about keep that same energy? Y'all talking about my squad old and all of this. I'm gonna say that
21.
year,
2021.
21, 22, when he had the super team created again
Yeah,
with him.
2022.
Yeah, him, Westbrook, 80. Yeah, I mean, he again, life has a way of humbling you. Come back to that. Because he jumped on Twitter with the bitter fingers, because everybody was talking about they're so old. And I remember this vividly because he was sitting out certain games trying to keep the scoring average up. I'm like, yo, this dude is chasing the scoring title. Your team is suffering like 18, 16, 17 games under 500, yet you're trying to play the bottom feeders so you can get the scoring average. So I'm going to say 21, 22.
2 out of 4 of LeBron's titles came in shortened seasons. I mean, that's something people don't talk about.
Fugazi.
Robin, what do you think? What do you think in how many games?
I think 2019, 47 games, I think.
All right. AOH, what are you going to say?
He actually played very few games in 2012 because of the shortened season.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, yeah.
I mean, it was really few.
But if you, AOH, if you
They played 60-something games, 66 games, I
Yeah,
think,
if
in
you-
2012, man.
if you adjusted for inflation, though, I think he might have been on track to play like 70 something.
Well,
I think-
there's a season early in his career where he played really few games. So if it wasn't because of a short 2012, then what was it? Shit. Obviously, there's 2020.
All right, let's go back to you, Nick. What do you got?
I just looked it up. But I was wrong. I guessed. I think I guessed 65.
Okay, and what year was it that you guessed?
I was gonna say the year I was thinking of was like 2020, 2021, something like that.
Okay. AOH, you have an answer?
No.
All right. It was the 2021 season with 45 games.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Nobody's calling in so far.
Hey, Spin Engine, I got your email. I'm responding to you.
Real quick, I just want to say
Okay,
thank you
cool.
to Ija Morris. He had sent me a super chat earlier on my channel. I just wanted to say thank you.
Oh, that was for you?
Yeah, it was like the first one we got, like way in the beginning.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, we've had like a billion messages, so I can't look. I thought it was for me, but maybe not.
You guys were navigating down the avenue about the popularity. My man brought up Space Jam, and I'm still cracking up that he had to watch it twice just to make sure that it was bad. But when you think about things like that, and we talk about the popularity of a LeBron James, and then we talk about the likability of LeBron James, and then we talk about things like LeBron James and them trying to force us to believe that LeBron James is a nicer person, a better teammate than Michael Jordan. This goes back to the tearing down Michael Jordan and him actually being a quality teammate. They'll say things now, oh, everyone hated Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was an a-hole, man. They didn't like Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan was a terrible teammate. One thing that we can't argue with are the results that Michael Jordan got. I remember Will Perdue in The Last Dance. He said, yeah, was Michael Jordan an a-hole? Was Michael Jordan over the line? He said, yeah, he may have been. But he said, you know what, though? He was right. It worked. It got the results he was looking for. That's the one thing that Michael Jordan always had, was the respect of everyone that he was around. So it didn't matter necessarily if they liked Michael Jordan per se, if he was really the nice guy that they'll try to say that he wasn't. Everyone respected him. And why did they respect him? Because Michael Jordan always led by example, right? What did Michael Jordan also say in The Last Dance? I asked him to do things that I wasn't going to do myself. If we think about LeBron James, it's the complete opposite. LeBron James has a do as I say, not as they do mentality. So what do we see in the basketball court from LeBron James? He'll be standing around on defense. His man will score. And LeBron James will immediately look to his teammates in disgust. These are the kinds of things that we allude to on our channels. These are the things that we talk about when we say LeBron James, is he really that good of a teammate? Is he really that nice of a guy when his body language is piss poor at best, man? When you see guys like Darvin Ham and Frank Vogel trying to draw plays on the sideline, and there goes LeBron James all pouting and moaning like a little baby. Is that a good look for your teammates? Is that being a good teammate? Is that being a nice guy? Is that LeBron James showing the quality of person he is in comparison to Michael Jordan? I never saw Michael Jordan show Phil Jackson like that on the sideline. Never did. You know who we saw do that, though? Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen didn't want to get in the game, right? But they keep talking about how Scottie Pippen was the leader of the Chicago Bulls, man. Once again, these are more narratives, man. So those are the kinds of things that we have to think about, man.
Real fast, we got Jimmy James here calling in. Sir, let me give you a minute to ask your question, and we'll go around so we can answer it. Unless you just have a comment and want to go away, but you got a minute to say what you want to say.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to. I don't know if you guys brought up the clutch aspect, the clutch narrative that he's the most clutch player. Did I miss that, or did you not?
No,
we touched on it. We didn't really
man.
Because the other part of his, even when you see the highlights of his clutch shots that he made, most of them seem like they're just like Hail Mary prayer type shots. Like it's not like he got to a spot, hit, that he practiced, over and over, get to the spot, hit the shot, that you're supposed to. It's kind of like he got some turnaround jumper, banked it off the backboard, and he's just like, oh, can't believe that went in.
Yeah, his most famous shot is that one against Orlando, right? And they ended up losing that series 4-1.
Yeah, that's the only thing I needed to bring up.
That's a great point. It's a great point.
Okay,
Once we discuss.
Once we get through it, you can respond for 2 minutes afterwards. But I'm gonna put you on mute for now.
Okay.
All right, Steam Engine, what do you got to say about all this? Let's try to keep it to a minute response so we can have people call in.
Not a problem. Clutch, it's subjective, right? I mean, if the Patriots are playing the fucking little Giants for 8 seasons and they win by a touchdown at the end of every game, that's clutch, right? But who gives a shit? LeBron was clutch against a series of weak opponents that he shouldn't have been losing to begin with. I know that seems like it's, splitting hairs a little bit. But, I mean, if you want to look at context, if you want to look at opinion and everything that comes with that, like a LeBron fan would, yeah, you can be clutch, but you're playing shit teams. Cool.
Hoop God, what do you got to say?
Yeah, I agree with what Steam Engine stated. Yeah, okay, you got your 5 buzzer beaters or whatever, but yeah, it does not look natural. It does not look like he's practiced those moments. Like, for example, you can look when Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant take and make these game winners. You can tell routinely that that's a part of their repertoire. Like they've practiced those shots. When you see LeBron make those shots, which, okay, hey, you made the shots. That's fantastic. But again, versus the competition, I mean, if I go out there and I hit 5 buzzer beaters on some high school kid, I'm not about to brag about that. Like I shouldn't even be in that situation. And I want to follow that point up into saying that out of all 5 of those buzzer beaters, none of them were in like game winners. None of them were walk-offs. Like when we seen Michael Jordan's game winner buzzer beater against the Cavaliers, that literally wasn't eliminated. Like that was in an elimination moment. Like anytime LeBron did this, like there were more games to be played. It was either game 2 or game 3. So meaning you still had to play another game. So no, I'm not putting no stock into you hitting buzzer beaters against some B and C level mediocre teams.
Robin, what you got to say?
Yeah, no, this was a great point that he brought up, man. And the way that you broke it down was spot on. When you talk about, LeBron James doesn't look like he knows where he's going at the ends of these games, that's absolutely 100% on the money. These are the things that we're talking about with LeBron James. He never looks like he knows what he wants to do. So when you talk about the shots that he's taking in these moments, he's fading off of one leg. That shot that Nick talked about, the hit against Orlando, he's literally fading off of one leg, chucking that. That was a prayer shot. The shot he hit in the corner against the Chicago Bulls in the Eastern Conference Finals, he's fading off into the corner on one leg, chucking this shot up. These are prayers that LeBron James is throwing up. Nothing ever looks like he knows he has a spot to go to. Whenever you think about Michael Jordan and you think about the NBA Finals, man, this is why LeBron James looks silly in these moments. He's nowhere the clutch play of a Michael Jordan. LeBron James nowhere near the clutch moments in the finals of Michael Jordan, the big shots. Michael Jordan essentially has 3 or 4 shots you can consider either shots that send it into overtime, tie the game, or win win the game on a last-second shot in the finals. LeBron James hasn't sniffed any of this stuff, man. So you're running the money when you talk about LeBron James and this clutch narrative. Once again, when you compare to Michael Jordan, he's way short on the clutch gene, and he doesn't know where to go at the end of these games because he never worked on his overall game.
Hey, wait, what do you got to say?
Where are the iconic photos? Where are the iconic moments from LeBron's career? I see his teammates. I see iconic photos of what his teammates did. And if you got to go to something like an Orlando game to find a great moment, well, you know, Michael has so many moments that we can limit it to finals greatness. If you want to start bringing in first round, second round, third round shit, my God, the list of Michael Jordan shots is going to be endless.
Yep. Nick, what do you got to say?
Yeah, I've kind of said with LeBron in this kind of particular topic is like, what is his pedigree? He's not the best scorer. He's not the best passer. He's not the best rebounder. He's not the best shooter, right? And so you think about all these moments like that block on Iguodala, right? Even if Iguodala makes that layup, Kyrie still comes down and hits the three to win the game, I believe is how it would have played out, right? You think about the shot against Orlando. They end up losing that series 4-1. Whenever they beat San Antonio, Ray Allen has the biggest moment, right? Like you're saying, these moments for LeBron just don't exist, right? And largely, right, the aura of Michael, you guys kind of mentioned it. He's got all these great – the aura of Michael is just – it's just hard to think anyone will ever, you know, trump that, right? But, yeah, the key moments, like where are they? Like LeBron doesn't really have that many to speak of, really, and he has no pedigree compared to the greats as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, when I look at it, a lot of people will cite these clutch stats. The thing that kills me about that is that it's so subjective because there's more than just one clutch stat. So when I forget the one that they usually cite, but to the point of what AOH made is that none of them are iconic moments or that I can think of off the top of my head. Maybe there's one where there's a poster somewhere of him doing something great, but the only defensive thing or offensive thing that I can remember of him being on the poster is that dunk with Dwayne Wade and then the chase down block in 2016. Excuse me. Those are the only two things that I can think of iconic moments for LeBron James for the entirety of it. So clutch, I think it's just a matter of what I think they argue the stats based of whatever metric somebody made up to make LeBron James look better.
I remember in that Spurs series when the Spurs ended up losing, LeBron made a layup toward the end of a game, and I was just confused about what happened. It was either the Spurs had decided that they were going to let him have that and then try and go score at the other end, or if it was a defensive malfunction, but I just was like, okay, so that was at near the end of the game, and the points mattered, but would you ever show that in a replay as an iconic moment? Because it was an uncontested layup by a huge man who delivered the ball right next to the rim.
Well, it's just like the layup with Michael Jordan against the Suns to get it evened up. But Jimmy James, what do you have to say? You got 2 minutes to talk about our what we have to say about it.
Yeah, no, you guys brought up a lot that I was thinking about. As far as like the actual stats, it's kind of hard to like find or pinpoint an actual stat that, you know, makes sense. Like when you actually break it down, and when you find someone that is, you know, detailed enough to go through and say, oh yeah, this stat that they're throwing out there is kind of there's a big caveat to it. It's just kind of hard to search for those things too. Like you have to really know exactly how to word it when you put in your search, or what site is really being accurate. So it's just like they're telling us that he's the most clutch player when you break it, and you're like, how is that so? I've watched his whole career. It doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely. I want to thank you for calling, Jimmy.
Yep.
I hope you have a great rest of your day and rest of your weekend.
Yo,
Yeah.
thanks a lot, man.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good one.
Take it easy, bro.
We've got YT Hoops here. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. How's everybody doing?
Yo,
Great.
what's up?
You
Good,
got a
good.
minute. You got a minute to ask your question or comment, and then we'll
All right.
with it.
Yeah, for sure. Just real quick on what the other guy was saying about those clutch stats. Like to me, that's one that like some of you hear and you're like, oh, that's obviously bullshit, right? What I think, and I don't know, and I also like Dart. I'm not. I think LeBron's great. I'm not like a huge hater of him. What I think is it's late game numbers, right? I think that's how they calculate the stats. So it's like, all right, how much has he scored in the last 5 minutes of a game? But anybody who watches LeBron, he stat pads like a mother at the end of games in blowout losses and in blowout wins. So that's just obvious. That's the first thing. But my question is, when are we going to see the showdown between the real GOAT, Sports and Fitness Rants, against FYF Sports, that little snake? That's what I got.
All right. I guess we'll start with Robin on that one.
Yeah, well, listen, man, when we talk about the fourth quarter stuff and the late game scenarios, briefly on that stuff, it's on the video footage there. Everything that you see in the video footage will back up everything. You don't even need the numbers. I was going to tell the guy before we got him off the show. You don't have to worry about finding numbers and looking for all these crazy stats, man. All you got to do is watch the games, and you'll see what I'm talking about at the end of these games and Michael Jordan hitting these shots and things of that nature. As far as me and, FYF, sports debates and me debating these guys, see, I had a debate the other day with this guy, what is his name? What was he, man?
T Perfect.
Yeah, T Perfect, right? And what happens when you debate these guys or you attempt to debate these people, man, is they muck these debates up, man. They get you off the actual debate and they get you out of talking about what really needs to be said. So when we talk about this guy FYF, man, you notice he hasn't showed up. I don't know if he's gonna show up, if he's gonna call up or whatever the case may be. I don't know if he's watching in the background, just hiding out, listening to what we're saying. But he showed up last week when I wasn't here, and I'm always here, and you guys know that, man. You know what I'm saying? And the one time I wasn't here is when he showed up. So I don't respect that. So if he shows up now, we can do whatever. And yeah, we're in this debate right now. I'm in the losers bracket right now. I don't know if I'm going to match up with him down the road. I don't know if I'm winning my vote right now in my debate, but if I do, we might end up matching up. So yes, it'll be outstanding.
All right, Hoop God, what do you got to say?
So when you said repeat the question again, I kind of got lost in translation.
No, it was about he was talking about the clutch stats with LeBron, that it's BS, and then also the FYF versus Robin stuff.
Right. Okay, so let me get to that real quick. So I actually got to check FYF's temperature. So hey, Sports and Fitness Rants, no mercy, bro, no mercy. But back to the clutch stats. Now I look at it because ESPN has a metric. They have the 5x5 rule, right? And then they got, like, I want to say within the last 2 minutes of a 1 possession or 2 possession game, because they got different criteria. But for the most part, in that 5x5, like you said, yes, he is the most unabashed, unashamed. I mean, stat padding, just making sure he's going to inflate those numbers because he has to make it look good 10, 15, 20 years from now, when guys who didn't actually watch it in real time, they'll go back and say, oh, well, this is what LeBron James did, because I had this one guy try to tell me LeBron had more clutch time points in total since they started tracking the metric, right? He passed Kobe, but I said, how many of those determined the game? Like, how many of those were either extending the lead or they were down and he was bringing the team back? Because we know he's not a closer. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that does bring context to his whole clutch ability. Because I always ask, if you hit these 5 buzzer beaters in the playoffs, why can't you do it in the finals? Why are you 0 for 7 in the final 24 seconds of a 1 possession game?
All right, Steam Engine, what do you gotta say?
Like Hoop Gods, it's context. Those of us that have seen both players play, just via the eye test, you can see who's clutch and who isn't. I don't think I've seen a single clutch moment in the last 2 seasons from LeBron where he's not running down the lane with his shoulder, trying to draw a call. And that's so manipulative to the game. It's hard to even call it clutch. It's just more like, I don't know. There's not even a word, like bitch shit. I don't know like if you could combine those 2 words, hopefully, well, mute that, whatever. But it's just weak. It's whack. And if that's how you're winning games, it's embarrassing to call it clutch, other than the few jump shots that he has hit.
All right, Nick, what do you got to say?
Yeah, I mean, one of my biggest, I kind of mentioned it again, like the pedigree, right? Like, what is LeBron's bag, right? Like, what is he going to in a late game situation where you're like, oh, he's going to go to his move, or
he has no mid-range game. You can tell that by his shot selection, which I covered in a video when they said that LeBron was a better shooter than Michael Jordan, which is just, of course, not true whatsoever once you get into it. He is like the typical James Harden without even half of that finesse, right? Like you mentioned, he's going to the hole, trying to get a foul call, or just hoping he can get some physical size mismatch, or it's a three-pointer, right? And he shot okay from three this year, but his career is like 35% or something like that. So obviously a contested three is going to be even worse than that. Like, compared to other greats and other great offensive players, we're talking about these clutch moments. LeBron has no bag, like, in my opinion. I'm not saying he can't score. I'm saying he has no moves. He has no mid-range. He has no post-up. He has, like, nothing that you can really go to. And, like, so Sports and Fitness Rants was kind of mentioning, like, his clutch shots are these heaves, these prayers, these one-legged, falling away, contested, and some of them have gone in. But again, what is he going to at the end of the game? I just don't really, I don't see that aspect of his game.
Hey, wait, what do you got to say?
Well, case in point, at the end of games when I'm cheering against LeBron, I'm hoping that the ball is in his hands. I am not filled with fear that he's gonna close out the game. The closest thing to fear that I feel is if he's gonna drive and get bailed out, and then I'm gonna be angry with the refs for, just gifting him another trip to the free throw line. And of course, his free throws have been so bad, and his meltdowns on the free throw line have been so bad lately. He doesn't want that either. And so, as Nick just said, well, where's that amazing mid-range or fallback move that he can use instead of hoping to get bailed out? I mean, when you got to say that about a guy, that's just embarrassing. I literally want him to have the ball in his hands when I'm cheering against him. And, his garbage time points eclipse his clutch points. The video I published this morning, I have a segment in the middle where I went back and looked at his fourth quarters against the Nuggets, because some idiot LeBron fan was trying to say that he was good in the fourth because anyway, LeBron's turnovers were shockingly costly, but look at the number of times that he took garbage points, and the balls, they never let anyone else take the garbage points. The other team doesn't go anywhere near him. They don't care if he makes the layup, and the time is running off the clock, and the game isn't within reach. LeBron has no shame of being the guy who goes in and adds a couple more points. So, like, one game he outscored Austin Reeves in the fourth by 2 points. Well, what was the difference maker? The garbage points. Another game, he didn't outscore Austin Reeves. Another game, AD had the most points in the fourth. And one game, he had 4 points in the fourth, and that was on 1 of 2 shooting. And the second one, the one that he did get to go, was 2 of those 4 points were free throws that he didn't deserve. I mean, if that's what you're proud of for a performance in the fourth, then take your king and run with him. I don't know what to say to people like that. All right.
For me, for the FYF and Sports and Fitness Rants thing, I will moderate it if it wants to happen. I know Lamont from FYF Sports has just said, I want to debate him. Which, what does that mean? I just want to have a verbal fisticuffs with him. Like, what does that even mean? He didn't say I want to debate anything. So if he wants to debate something and Robin's up for it, I will moderate it. That's fine with me. There has to be a subject at hand. And what Robin was saying too is that we have a debate league going on right now. So they just might meet up on a subject at all in the first place. So either way, I'm good with it. But YT Hoops, you got 2 minutes to respond or say anything, and then we're going to let Joe on.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for all the responses. I agree for the most part about what you guys said. The only thing with Steam Engine, you were saying, hey, at the end of the games, he kind of just like drives in and like tries to get fouled. To be honest, I feel like you're giving him too much credit with that. Like, from my perspective, LeBron is like the world's most athletic plumber, right? Like, he has no bag. Like, he's not a good shooter, right? Like, he's kind of just this freakazoid athlete who like is only good at just barreling down, and he's so good at it, right? He is. But what I see late in games is he always shies away from it, right? He's always looking to pass or looking at like some like, fadeaway three or like, a contested shot, because he kind of has an out there, right? He's not really supposed to make that. It's not the end of the world. So that's, I guess, the only point of disagreement. And just one last thing I want to say, Hakeem, I'm Jana Kennels in the chat. I lost my old channel. So like I promised you, that is my driver's license. If you can see date of birth, 89. So yeah, I was alive when Kobe Bryant was drafted. That's all. But anyway, thanks for...
You're Jana Kennels now. Okay.
Yeah, it's another channel I have. I lost my other channel. I guess I made sexist remarks. I don't know. I went too hard on the WNBA. But anyway, you guys have a good one. All right, take care.
Hey, yo, thanks a lot, man. Be good.
All right, thanks, man.
Peace.
Thanks for super chats also.
Yeah.
Oh,
we got Joe here. How are you today, sir? You have a minute to ask your question to the panel.
Hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, how you doing,
Oh,
bro?
excellent. So guys, I'm a Midwest boy, so I grew up, Milwaukee, so D Wade fan, LeBron fan, and it was in the moment around 2013 where I stopped being a LeBron fan as much, and that's because what he would do in games. Dwayne Wade would have better games than him versus Spurs. And LeBron would, at the last minute, try to get 6 more points, whatever, so that he could look like, okay, he scored, D Wade scored 32, I got to get 36 or 34. And I was like, dude, you're a horrible teammate for that. So it made me start looking at him different, like slightly. In 2014, when they were getting blown off the floor by a record margin, and Kawhi Leonard was locking his ass up, he checked himself back in the game so he could score 12 points in the fourth. Crap like that. I couldn't believe I was out on his ass.
Sir, do you have a question?
Oh, I don't have a question. I just wanted to make that comment. As a former big-time LeBron fan, actually my uncle played for the Cavs in the 80s. So it was just, and I've met LeBron. He's a nice guy. But at the end of the day, I'm saying this. I think that for the Bronsexuals out there, it really has to be a come to Jesus moment. Because I used to be one. It has to be one of those moments where you take a step back and say, let me see what everybody else is saying, or else they won't get it. It was at that moment I just couldn't believe what everybody was saying was true. And when I was calling it out, it was a sellout and everything else. But thanks, guys.
Thanks, man.
Let's see what the panel has to say, and you can respond to it after everyone addresses it. Nick, do you think that LeBron fans have to have a come to Jesus moment?
Hey man, that's a journey between them and God. There's nothing I can do, It's like when we have these debates and you have to go into debate just kind of assuming no one's going to change their mind, right? Like this is kind of for fun and just to kind of get your points across, right? So, I'm sure some will come around. There will be people who turn into LeBron fans going forward, right? So I don't know. That's not really for me to worry about per se.
Hey, wait, what do we got to say? Do you think they have a come to Jesus moment?
Well, he mentioned Dwayne Wade, and it reminded me of people asking why did teammates keep quiet? Because, man, D Wade played his ass off in Miami, and everything had to be about LeBron. I don't know. It's just interesting how other people have to be more adultish and be willing to sacrifice in order for LeBron's greatness to be seen. Whereas it was Jordan who actually made people better and they benefited from being around him. LeBron's teammates suffered by being part of the LA system, and they've kind of accepted it.
Mm-hmm. Robin, what do you got to say about this?
Yeah, no, once again, let's go back to the word evidence. Where's the evidence of LeBron James and the stat padding? When he brings these things up, it's there. Where's the evidence? We have LeBron James reading his stat sheet on the sideline of games. You actually have photos of LeBron James doing these things. LeBron James concerned about his box score in the middle of a game. You actually have video and actually have proof of LeBron James, once again, like you guys mentioned, checking himself back into games. You have LeBron James playing in games when his team is up 20 points, his team is down 20 points. One of the things I remember about the era I grew up watching, Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, the great players, the great scorers even, right? when their team was winning by a certain amount of points, Larry Bird would check himself out the game. Larry Bird didn't stay in, oh, hey, coach, man, let me get my 40 real quick. No, Larry Bird would check himself out the game, man. This is what Michael Jordan would do also. There were many, many games. I remember Michael Jordan could have went for 30, 40, 50 points sometimes. He checked himself out. That's what these guys did, the exact opposite of LeBron James. So once again, it goes back to the evidence that we have of LeBron James being a stat pattern, man. This guy's always worried about these things. This is the main reason why he will never sacrifice for his teammates and actually play in his system. He can't do that. He won't do that. That goes to him having to not sacrifice and stat pad all the time, like you guys mentioned, man.
Oh, God, what do you got to say?
No, I agree with the gentleman who brought that point up, because when you watch that game in real time, yeah, Dwayne Wade set the tone and pretty much was the go-to guy. And yeah, LeBron James, being an opportunist, like Speeman just said earlier, had to stay in the game to get that point total up, just so he can manipulate the people 10 years from now. Say, well, no, LeBron has to be the best player for getting. No, he didn't, because D Wade came out there, set the tone. You know, he pretty much was the guy that said, hey, we're putting ourselves back in this series. And yeah, the point about Jordan and Bird, again, that's having tact and decorum. If you know you're up, why stay in the game? Let your teammates get some shot. You know, that's just who he is. I mean, and the guy that said they called him a sellout, no, brother, you're not a sellout. Okay, you're telling the truth, and they hate it, but yet they want to project the hater towards you. But they're the ones doing the hating because they hate the message you're delivering, because it's the truth. So no, don't let them try to shame you with all their third grade assault words. They're just petulant children having a temper tantrum. That's all.
Spearman, what do you got to say?
Looked like in your camera you were a black individual, so automatically you have to root for LeBron. Otherwise, you're part of the problem. So that's where you're wrong, and I'm just kidding. I don't think they need to have a come to Jesus moment. They need to have like a come to a therapist's office moment, because they're just not like, they're not realistic when it comes to these arguments. I see in the chat all the time, you know, we're talking about narratives and everything, but it's the exact same thing on the other side. So if you think about it, everyone's using the same tactics, just one side is using fact and the other one isn't. Look at how many times LeBron stayed in a game just to get 20 points, just to duck out. You know, because he had that longest active 20-point streak record, whatever, and then it snapped, and all of a sudden now he's hurt. And I'm gonna end it with, I guess you mentioned D Wade. That's another player that, you know, his head got all screwed up playing with LeBron. Look how he moves now. Like look at his life. Look how he dresses. That's not signs of somebody that was in a healthy basketball relationship.
Yeah, for me, I think that the LeBron James fans just have to look at things other than accumulation of being a very good player over a very long time that didn't have the accomplishments as a lot of other players did. Because you have accolades, and an accolade is different than a title. An accolade is different than an award, which he has a lot of awards too. But the point of it is that they'll lean their arguments on the culmination of awards, i.e. the All-NBA awards or whatever, and then the accolades that, oh, he's had more 30-point games or whatever BS, and, you know, in towns that have the letter M that starts in them, just something that they make up to try and make him greater. You know, to me, you have to look at what was he able to win, what was he able to earn, versus what was awarded to him by media members and the NBA itself to sell him as the next big thing, the next Michael Jordan, as they did for the longest time. So, real fast, so we had a couple super chats come in, and I believe that Joe had left. So, real fast, Thanos Snap Feminism for AOH says, for $5 US, says, LeBron does have an iconic moment. Don't you all remember his dunk on Jason Terry? A 6'9" guy dunking on a 6'3" guy wipes away an 8-point NBA Finals game. What do you got to say about
there's
that?
actually there's a hidden clip of after that happened. So he dunks on Terry, and Terry's like on the floor looking up at him, and Terry just says 2011, and then they get back up and they go down the other side of the court. But not many people know that.
That's hilarious.
Thanos, thank you again for another super chat. I appreciate it. I got to tell you, man, that clip rubs me the wrong way. It's not just a 6'9" guy dunking on the little dude. It was a 3-on-1.
Yeah.
And Terry had the nerve to try and take a charge or draw a charge in an impossible situation. You know, he actually showed more bravery in that moment than LeBron James ever has. It's not like Terry attempted to block the dunk and LeBron powered over him and dunked it anyway. LeBron received a lob in a 3-on-1 in an impossible situation for Jason Terry and had the nerve to fucking stink mug him, stare him down. That is not a moment to be proud of, you fucking coward. And another reason this bothers me is these fucking clutch sports people in the media replay that shit and even had it on like Get Up or one of these saying, is this one of the best dunks in history? And they had poor Vince Carter on as a panelist, and he's just fucking sitting there like, and but the brainwashing, these easily molded, pathetic, jello-brained LeBron people that will see it on a television show and be like, oh, well, then, wow, look at that. It must be true. Can you not see the context for yourselves? There's nothing impressive about a 3-on-1 recipient of an alley-oop against a small dude that wasn't even trying to block you. God damn, how do I have to explain things like that?
Hey, you're forgetting about the dunk of the century, too.
We got to move on. I'm getting angry.
It was the dunk of the century.
Fuck.
Clear down the lane.
We got another super chat from Pierre Lynch for $5 Dart LaFraud spent $50,000 with Hakeem to still have no low post game. So I think stuff is kind of funny. Talking with Lamont, just to bring him up again, I had asked him, I went on a show, I watched his show about Robin, and I came on at the end because they go and they were not him specifically, but I've heard him say this too, but just a bunch of people talk about, well, the athleticism. I had asked him about, well, what about guys like Jokic? What about guys like Luka Doncic? Because in any sort of sport or in any sort of way you want to control a game, you have to be in control of space. So athleticism helps when you can have a great first step and you don't have a great team defense. I'm not saying it doesn't, but I had asked him about that. And the point of it is that I think LeBron just doesn't understand how to use his mind in the low post game, because I believe it's more being a low post player. I might be a little biased towards this, but I think you need to have a more cerebral game in the low post because it depends on a lot of controlling of space and then also making the right moves to get them off track. I feel as versus a guard player, if you're quick, if you do one sort of counter or if you do the triple threat and do a jab step and they bite, I'm not saying there's no intelligence to it. I'm just saying when you're in the post and you're right up on each other, I think you need to be a little smarter for that. And I just don't think LeBron has it personally. But thank you for the super chat, Pierre. Otherwise, he would do it. Or, that's how I feel about it.
Did he actually spend $50,000? Is that a real number?
I don't know. I know that Hakeem, I know he did the whole Hakeem thing, but
yeah.
Do you think any piece of that was just to get it out to the media that LeBron is working on his game so that he could seem like he has a dedication to improving his craft without him actually even being interested in improving it?
Yeah, 1 week seminar definitely doesn't make you better, but that's besides the point. Or you were going to say something, Robin? Or
No, I was agreeing with what he was saying.
I think that number is real. I think that's a real number Hakeem charges people.
Yeah, I mean, everything for LeBron James has to be put out there. Whenever LeBron James does charity work or, he's doing something for the good of the people, for the good of, humanity, it has to be known. It has to be, front news for everybody. Dave McNamara and Brian Windhorst have to have a special on it, man. They have to announce these things. That's, part of the way LeBron James is, man. It's always like, hey, look at me, look what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And that's the disgusting aspect of LeBron James's personality.
all right, we got one more super chat that came in from Michael Silberg. I'm not sure if it's for I think it's for AOH, but it might be for NMB Sports. It says Clutch Sports PsyOps is close to KGB level.
We need to do an expose on clutch sports. I think I'm like a step behind on understanding the direct ties there between LeBron and clutch.
We got coaches in clutch. We've got analysts in clutch, players in clutch.
Brian Hort's going to be clutching his heart pretty soon. Someone should be like look worried about that man's health.
So apparently clutch is the media group that started up, and they all have kind of ties or are LeBron apologists or something.
You mean Brian Winded Horse?
Yeah.
Like the dude be talking. I'm like, bro, breathe. Like, I don't want this man to like have a heart attack. Like, bro, you gotta breathe.
Surprised he hasn't. He's like 400 pounds, man.
That's what I'm saying. He doesn't even look right in that chair. He just like get him, get him out of there. I thought he'd be gone by now. I thought Kendrick Perkins would be gone, but thankfully he's turning over a new leaf, or as much English as he can pull together to turn over a new leaf.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to Big Perk, man. He's starting to.
Yeah, I do like Perkins because he could beat my ass. So that's it.
Isn't it interesting that some of these LeBron people will take pot shots at us and try and say something? Well, you guys aren't allowed to talk about basketball because you probably can't even play. Well, first of all, we can. But secondly, how are you going to listen to Nick Wright and Brian Windhorse on based on that same argument?
Yeah, I think Brian Windhorse may have eaten a basketball cake once, but I don't know if he
or even Stephen A.
Motherfucker ate a basketball.
Oh man, that's funny, man.
Anyway, y'all have anything you want to talk about? This is kind of the time we usually shut it off. We don't have any more callers or anything.
Yeah, I got to pack and hit the road, actually.
Yeah, I got to roll too.
Absolutely. But let's just do some plugs real fast. Steam Engine, you want to plug anything? I know you got your YouTube channel and all of that. We'll just go down the line like that.
Yeah, it's at Steam Engine. It's got a rock and roll 1 video right now, but that's going to balloon up to 2 by the end of this weekend. And follow my stuff because I am funny, I swear.
Hoop God, you want to plug anything or say have any last words?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, people in the chat, follow all these gentlemen. It is very imperative that we destroy these fake narratives. And at the end of the day, it's just basketball. Words from a loser.
Robin, you got anything to say?
Man, listen, everybody knows what the deal is out there, man. You guys already know me, man. You know, everyone knows sports and fitness rants out there. You guys know the deal on my channel, man. So shout out to everybody in the chat, everybody that donate to the channels, man. You guys have been continuing to support these live streams on Sundays. Much respect to everybody that's been out there. Like I said, guys, it means a lot, man. Truly, truly humbled by all the support, man. For real, it means a lot. Shout out to everybody on the panel. Once again, guys, it was great doing another show with you guys, man. And you guys know, man, I'll see you guys on the next one, man.
Absolutely. AOH?
I got 2 things. If Robin and FYF actually do debate, you got to pay attention to whether or not FYF or whoever it is stays on topic. You got to have a good moderator that forces them to talk about the topic at hand and produce evidence, not start talking about other players and not start saying, well, so-and-so back in the 60s did this. Stay on topic. I am releasing a multi-part series this week, starting tomorrow, talking about the narrative that LeBron delivered for Los Angeles. It's something that they started saying when they were getting beaten in the first rounds and not looking good. And so I break it down on him as a player, the financial level, and the third one you have to wait and see. So if anyone out there watches my channel, watch for those.
Nick, you got anything you want to say?
I want to thank everyone watching and commenting, the haters and the fans alike. That's all I got to say.
Sorry, I got this thing in the background here. It's sorry. Yeah, I want to thank the live chat, and all the super chats to everyone on the panel. I like this new format that we did. We talked about it briefly. This is kind of a mixture of just putting some sort of soft time limits on thing, and then also bringing back some old school things that we had. So I think it went really well, and I hope the audience liked it. I think it it was progressive, and I think a lot of people were kind of on the same page for a lot of things. So if you want to comment about how you like this new thing, please do so in the comments. But again, thank you all for calling in. You got the YT Hoops who called in, Joe, and Jimmy James, I believe his name was. But thank you all for calling in. Thank everyone in the live chat. And check everyone else's pages out, as said, with the plugs. And I hope to see you all next week. And for everyone, Michael Jordan fans are the best.